Hey everyone, am I audible? You just give me yes on the chat panel. I will be happy. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so first of all, thank you for joining this session on cloud computing and AWS. My name is Pranjal Srivastu, and we're going to learn about cloud computing, and especially we're going to focus on three services today. One is EC2, S3, and IAM. These are the core services of AWS. We're going to see a lot of stuff today in this 3 hour session. Okay, so let me share my screen before we move forward. Okay, I hope you can see my screen over here. So throughout the session, as I mentioned, we're going to learn about a lot of things about cloud computing and AWS. So let's begin. Okay, without any further ado. So this is me. As I said, my name is Pranjal, and currently working as a DevOps engineer and mentor for many e-learning platforms. As I find myself as a polymath because I have interest in multiple fields. As of now, I am having 8 year experience as an online instructor, taught more than 200,000 students around the globe, worked at TCS, and after that I started doing the teaching career. And as of now, I've helping a lot of organizations how they can leverage the AI stuff, machine learning thing, and also improving their CI/CD pipelines. So this is the area of my expertise, and cloud computing is my favorite subject. So thanks Geeks for Geeks for giving me a chance to give a session on such a nice topic. So if you want to connect me, you can connect me on LinkedIn. This is the URL which you can use in order to connect me. I will be happy to help you out if you have any other doubts after the session, okay, or any other questions you might have regarding the career or whatever. You can just shoot me. I will be happy to help you out. And this is my GitHub repo. Now I have shared my GitHub repo because over there some resource file I'm gonna use today. So those resource files are, you can see over here, GFG sessions on AWS. You can just go over here, and these are some resource file which I've already uploaded. And this is the first session of this series, and we're going to explore more about other things as well. So over here, whatever topics we're going to discuss today, I have already uploaded the PPT, the doc file, which you can consider. Okay, now let's begin. And I believe like most of the people are already having the AWS free tier account. If you don't have, I will gonna guide you that how you can create one. It's super easy. Okay, so AWS gives you 12 months free trial. Like over there, you can access different AWS services. Okay, we're going to discuss about free part of AWS as well. Okay, so this is the URL. Let me share you through chat panel, which you can take it from here. Okay, this is um, uh, the URL which you can follow for that GitHub repository. Okay, now let's begin. So the very first question which comes in our mind, like what is cloud computing? Yes, firstly we're going to cover the fundamental, the theoretical part. I know like it might sound a little bit boring, but it's very much important to know about the theoretical part, the fundamental part, because it is the foundation before we jump into the hands-on part. Okay, so it's very much important because I believe many participants are completely new to this topic. So I'm just starting from very scratch so that they can find themselves comfortable when I'm going to perform some hands-on exercises, the services which I have mentioned. So what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is on-demand delivery of IT resources. Like, let me just give you one analogy, one example, a real world example. Just imagine you got a great idea, okay, and now you want to work around. So for your application, so for your idea, in order to monetize your idea, the business, you have to create the application. You have to develop the application, which will going to become the interface between you and your guests and your end users. So once you have worked on your application, you develop one. Now you have to deploy it somewhere. Okay. So whether you can deploy your application on your home premises servers, or you can just simply deploy your application on some cloud computing platforms. Now there's a difference. Now if you're going to deploy your application at your home servers, you have to make sure like your servers are live for 24 hours, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Every hours they have to be working condition. And not only this, because sometimes, like, because your idea is great, so of course there will be a lot of traffic will going to come in and make sure that your application is up and running and can handle the high traffic. Okay, not only this, because there will be some competitors who can, make your website down. So you have to make sure like it is well protected from DDoS attack and various other kind of attack. Not only this, you have to also make sure like whatever service you're running, you have to maintain the temperature, you have to provide 24 hours 7 electricity. Okay, so a lot of things you have to do it by yourself. Okay, managing everything by yourself. Now if ID did not work, okay, so in that case whatever investment you had did for running up your application will going to be, uh, is now gone. Okay, so that part is gone. So how you can save that bug? So what basically we do in order to test your idea before we jump into the high scale level, we can just simply use the cloud computing platform to deploy our application, test our idea if it is working fine or not. If it is not, then you can just simply shut down the services which you're running on cloud. Or what you can do, you can just simply scale them up if it is working fine. So this is the idea. You are basically outsourcing your task to somebody, and that somebody is cloud computing platform. So over here you can see the definition which clearly defines what exactly the cloud computing is. Cloud computing is on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. So whatever services you're running till then, they're just going to charge you accordingly. As soon as you're going to stop the services, they won't charge you further. So instead of buying, owning, and maintaining the physical data center and servers at your home or whatever places, you don't have to do that part. Now everything will going to be taken care by cloud computing platforms. So you don't have to worry about the computing power. You don't have to worry about the security. You don't have to worry about any other thing. Everything will going to be done by cloud service provider. This is what exactly the cloud computing is. These are some benefits, as I mentioned: cost saving, scalability. Because see, you don't have to buy the servers at your home. Okay, so if idea is working fine, that's fine. If it is not, you can just simply close that service. So somehow you are saving a lot of money. And also, for example, there's another thing like in some occasion there will be high traffic, in some occasion there will be low traffic. Okay, and you don't know like when that can be happen. So if you have to run everything at your home, at your uh, base server over there, what happens, you have to maintain the servers no matter what kind of traffic is coming. Okay, so you have to maintain those servers, large numbers of servers. But in case of cloud computing, you can scale the number of services if there's a high traffic, and scale down the instances if there is no if there's low traffic. So you can adjust accordingly. That's why we say easily to scale down, and that's why you can say elasticity. So this is advantages which you can think of from having the cloud computing. And also security, they're just going to work and provide you security services which will gonna make you a secure environment for your application, make your application highly reliable, highly available, because they have a lot big coverage throughout the world. Okay, data backup, disaster recovery, rapid innovation, so on and so on. There are so many advantages which you can have it through cloud computing. Now, what is AWS then? So AWS is the world's most comprehensive and widely adopted cloud platform. It offers over 200 fully featured services. And believe me, like I'm using AWS since 2014, and since then so many new services has been came and so many services has been gone. They keep changes all the time. Okay, so they are working hard, and in recent time AI thing is happening. So they also offer so many AI based services into their dashboard. So this is good for startups, good for enterprises, good for governments to build, to scale, and innovate faster. So this is what AWS is. And you can see this is a chart which I have taken from Stack Overflow survey, and you can see the demand of AWS. So AWS is at first position, then you got Microsoft Azure, and now you got Google Cloud Platform. So 55%, which is more than half of the demand, is fulfilled by AWS itself. Okay, so this is the power of, you can see, or you can see the reach of AWS. Now, what are the key benefits? So the benefits which you have in cloud computing, the same goes over here as well: scalability, cost effective, global reach, security, innovation. This is what you can expect from AWS. Now, as I'm talking about global infrastructure, what exactly the global infrastructure is. So there are three terms are used: regions, availability zones, edge locations. So if you see, this is the global coverage. Like in each continent, they have their reach. Okay, these are the green dot which you are seeing right now. This is known as region. So what is region? This is geographic areas, okay, in the map. Okay, and the red color dot which you are seeing right now, they will going to come soon. Okay, now in India, if you're going to talk about, they have recently launched the Hyderabad region in 2022. Okay, and previously they were having Mumbai region, I think, which is launched around 2014 or 2016, I believe, so far. So this is the idea. Okay, and this region is not only specific to that location. Okay, inside the region there are some other things which you should be aware of. Now, first thing first, which you should know about, which is the data center. We just talk about the data center, which are the physical facilities housing servers, infrastructure for computing and storage. So as I said, the benefit of cloud computing is you don't have to manage this thing, the data centers. Okay, they're going to do it for you, but at last your application will going to run on data centers. So this is what I'm talking about, their infrastructure. So the first thing which you should be aware of, what exactly the data center is. This is the place where your application will going to be get deployed and up and running. So if you're going to make a group of your data centers, it will going to become the availability zones. Okay, one or more data centers grouped together within a region. This is known as availability zones, which is designed for high availability and fault isolation. So, for example, for instance, if you take like one of your data center got collapsed, or some mishappening happened, so in that case you got other data centers to take care of. Okay, so that's why we have availability zones. They are well connected to each other. Okay, now, other than that, what is exactly the reason is the dot which we saw in this diagram, the green colored dot, the region. So this is a geographically separated areas which contains multiple availability zones. This is the availability zones where it has the group of data center and availability zone, and the region is group of availability zones. So this is the difference between data center, availability zones, and the regions. Okay. Now, if you see the console of AWS over here on top right hand side, over here you can see these are different regions coming over here. So US East 1, US East 2, US West 1, West 2, and then Asia Pacific, then Canada, then Europe, and then South America. So you can see very clearly different regions which are available over there. Okay, now over here right now you can just choose whatever region you want to work with once you have selected the region. Okay, and now you want to create any services like EC2 or any other services, at that time you have to choose what exactly, or where like which availability zone you want to run your EC2 instances. Okay, so that option you can see over there. Okay, not over here. Okay, only regions can be selected over here. Right now we have selected US East 1 over here. Now it is selected to US East 2. Okay, so this is how you can choose different regions. Okay, now over here, in order to provide the high availability feature, the fault tolerant feature, what basically we do, we make the replication of our data in different regions. Okay, so this is very much important, and we're going to talk about it, the best practices to follow. Okay, but yes, this is what it is: the data centers, the availability zones, and the regions which you should be aware of. Now let's come to the next point, the advantage of having the such a global infrastructure. Again, high availability, like multiple availability zones in each region ensure fault isolation and resilience against the failures. So this is the one of the key important feature of having such a huge global infrastructure. Now the second point comes in the low latency. Now over here, for example, if you build the application and it's fabulously working fine, and you through the analysis you got to know about like your user base in US, okay, and you're running your application in India servers. So it's better to shift your services to nearby location for giving such functionality of low latency. So with regions located around the world, user can deploy their application closer to the end user for faster response times. Okay, so this is what the low latency meant for. Okay, and scalable, of course, again, as I mentioned, like just because they have such a strong infrastructure, it can scale up the application anywhere, anytime, very easily, very effectively. The disaster recovery, so in order to make sure like something went wrong, you should have a proper robust disaster recovery strategies which AWS offer. Okay, and compliance, data residencies, and global reach, these are just other advantages of global infrastructure. Now over here, one more thing which I forgot to miss, which is how to select the reasons. One point I just mentioned about the low latency factor. Like you have to look like where your audience is located. This is the very first point to choose from. Okay, if your audience base is in US, so you have to choose the region nearby to your end user. But other than that, there are a few other factors which you can consider, which is the the pricing. Okay, so in some occasion you will find like the services are much cheaper in other regions. So if the pricing is your priority, you can choose your region in that way as well. Other than that, there is third point, which is the availability of the services. Yes, you heard it right, the availability of the services. It's not like that like all of the AWS services is available in all of the regions. Let me again repeat this thing. It doesn't mean like AWS provide so many regions, so many services. So it's not like that all the services are available in all the regions. Okay, so whatever services you are working in, you have to see like where they're available and then choose the region accordingly. Okay, so first one we had discussed about the low latency factor, like where your audience is located. The second point, the second factor is the pricing. Okay, the third factor is the service availability. And the fourth, a very much important point, it is like the compliance. Okay, so if your a user base is European audience, okay, for them you have to maintain certain compliances. Like you cannot transfer the data across the Europe region, their boundaries. So you have to make sure like whatever data which are related to their people should reside inside that boundary. So in that case, you don't have any other option. You have to choose region which is inside that boundary. Okay, so these are the four factors which you should be aware of, like how to choose the AWS regions. Okay, now let's move to the next point. So you can see over here, these are just the categories, not the services. These are the categories. I believe it is more than 20 plus categories are out there. These are the services. You can see analytics, application integrations, artificial intelligence, blockchain, business applications, cloud financial management, compute, container, database, and so on and on. So these are just the categories. And if you see the console, if you're going to open the console, and over here, if you can just click over here to get all the services details. So these are just all those categories which I mentioned. So this is analytics, and you can see Athena, AWS Clean Room, Cloud Search, AWS Data Exchange. These are so many services are only related to the analytics only. Then you got application integration. Then you got blockchain. You got business applications. You got cloud financial management. You can see so many services out there in different categories. This is for compute. You can see app runner, batch, EC2, EC2 global view, EC2 image builder. You can see there's so many services out there. As mentioned, AWS offer more than 200 plus services. Okay, and let me tell you very precisely over here, like it's not important to know about all the services. Okay, I also don't know all the services of AWS. Okay, I'm working this with this AWS since 2014, and still I don't know all the services. It totally depends upon the like what kind of project you're in. Okay, if your project are based on machine learning and AI things, so you should be have knowledge about the services related to AI and ML. Okay, which you can see from here. This is for machine learning, and these are the different services which AWS offer for such category. Okay, so it's not like that like you should be aware or know having the knowledge of all the services. Okay, but one thing for sure which I would like to tell you, which is the core services, or you can say the popular services which you should aware of. Okay, like in core services, like compute is the core service, storage is the core service, database comes under the core service category, the networking and the security, these are the core services category. Like for example, let's switch back to that idea which we were talking about. So you got a brilliant idea, okay, and now you want to deploy that application in order to monetize your idea. So for any application, they need a place where they can be get deployed. At that server is basically the compute part. Okay, and then there comes the storage. So if your application needs the storage company, like users are uploading the images or some any kind of file, so it needs to be get stored somewhere. Okay, so you need to have the storage component as well, where you can keep the files, keep the logs. Okay, then comes the database. So of course, in order to maintain the database of your users, of their behaviors, of their uh, options which they like it or whatever their preferences, so whatever kind of information is related to the user, you have to maintain them as well in the database form. So this is again very much important category. Then of course the networking, like how you are able to access your application and how your end user will be able to access your application. So all this thing can be done by the networking component. Then of course analytics, like how your application is working and all the number of people coming in and how they are working with that, like whatever products they are buying or whatever. Analytics comes over here to play an important role. Machine learning, you can skip it if you don't want to apply. And then comes the security. Again, security is the paramount thing. So, in order to have a successful business, you have to make sure that you are running your application in secure environment. So again, the security is very much important in that condition. The encryptions we can apply with the help of KMS, and in order to protect your sensitive information, you can do you work with the secret managers. WAF helps your application for act as a firewall. The shield will going to protect from the DDoS attack. So these are the different services which you should be aware of. The core services. I won't say you have to know about all the services of AWS, but these are the some services which which you should be aware of. Okay, and know how to work with them easily. Now, before coming to the IAM, one more thing which I would like to tell you over here, like this is our console, okay? And this is how I'm able to access different services. Like I click over here and then EC2 console will going to be get open, okay? Now from this console, I can uh, check different informations, and even I can create the EC2 instances from there. Okay, so this is how I can do everything with the help of my mouse, and that's it. Okay, I can just choose the option. Within the few clicks, the services is up and running. Okay, so this is the way which is the most easiest way to interact with AWS, which is through GUI, through this console. So this is the management console which I'm talking about in order to interact with the services of AWS. Other than that, there are other ways as well, which is command line. Okay, this is my command prompt. And over here, I can just write, for example, AWS S3 LS. Over here, I can see and access different buckets which I have created on AWS. So this is the other way of having interaction with the AWS services of my account. What else? We can have uh, we can have the SDK way. Okay, let me show you over here only GitHub, and over here in your repositories, and over here, for example, AWS Flask. Over here, if you go, you can see upload.py, for example. Over here, I'm using import boto3 library. Now, this is a very important library in Python, which helps you to connect your application with AWS services. Okay, it offers so many options for different services which AWS offer, which you can connect by. So through SDKs, you are able to access the AWS services. So there are three ways to interact with AWS services, which I forgot to mention into my slide, but I got to remember. So this is three ways which you should be aware of. Like one way is through console. This is a console. Within a few clicks I can open any service, and then I can create the whatever services I want to. Just choose the different options which comes in, and that's voila, you have successfully created the services very easily. Okay, this is the most easiest way. Okay, the second way is through CLI. Okay, you are doing everything through command line. Okay, and you have put all those command line into a shell scripts, and whenever you want to do something automatically, you just run simply the shell scripts, which runs the commands only which you have written inside it. Okay, the shell scripts are used for doing the automation, but inside the shell scripts you got the different commands. Those different commands, we're going to use the CLI interface to interact with AWS. So this is the second way. Little bit tough, but still manageable. The third thing is, this is the way, the SDK way, where you build some application and that application wants to interact the services of AWS. You have to use different SDKs which AWS offer. If you are from Java background, you can just write Java SDK AWS and you're going to have access to that part. If you're using Python, then you can just write Python for AWS and you're going to have it. So for Python for AWS, we basically use the boto3 library which I just mentioned. Now if you can use with Node.js also. You can have different programming language which you are in proficient in, and then you can choose the SDK accordingly. Now over here, this is three ways which I talk about, and over here in today's session we're going to talk about the GUI way. Okay, the most easiest way. Okay, so over here you can see, like from here you can access different services from the catalog, and then whatever services you like it, you can just simply click over there, and then it will going to be get opened. Now over here I make the star over here, which means this is my favorite services. That's why it's coming over here. Okay, so you can choose, or you can just mark star to those services which you use frequently. And these are services which I use frequently. You can see on my screen S3, EC2, because coming from the container background, so ECS, ECR, then DevOps background, so you can see code commit, code pipeline, code build, VPC, IAM, cloud formation, EKS. You can see these are services which I use normally. Okay, so you can see these are all the services which I use, and these are basically the core services. Okay, and coming from the DevOps background, so I have to also work with those pipelines as well to create one. So again, I'm saying it's not important to remember and learn about all the services. It's just going to make you confused. So it's better to look around your problem statement and learn like what are the requirement, okay, and then accordingly choose the services and build your skills accordingly. Okay. Now over here, let me just see. Okay, okay. I was going to slow down my speed. Okay, thanks for knowing me. Uh, yes, you're going to have the recording of the event. I believe so far. Yes, you can. If you have the resume, very good resume, have experience, in that case, you can get the internship very easily. But these days, what I would say, like, you can uh, you know rely on LinkedIn as well, very much. Like, instead of going other internship related websites with the only job is to just offer an internship, you can also rely on the LinkedIn as well. Okay, and just do the cold emails. Cold emails will work a lot very easily. Okay, now I can see uh my pace, sorry, my pace is a little bit faster, so I can uh you know uh, set accordingly. Okay, thank you for letting me know about that. Okay, camera is open for everybody. Okay, so this is for all the things which we are having. So there's so many other doubts out there. Okay, these are different LinkedIn ID which I got. So one thing which you can do, like, if you want to connect me on LinkedIn, you can just simply give me the request over there. I'll just going to accept. Okay, and connect me over there. So I can see so many students like are in college. Yes, you got a very golden opportunity right now. Okay, like over here, you are under the umbrella. You can take the risk. You can just try with different areas. Okay, and see like which areas is, yeah, having a, you can say, the more opportunity. Okay, we can discuss about this thing as well at the end of the session. Certificate, I'm not pretty sure about after the session you're going to have it or not, but yes, I believe you will going to have this. Okay, so I can see like I got so many LinkedIn URLs. Okay, so it will be a little bit tough for me in that to connect everyone. So you can just give me the connection over there. I'm going to accept from there directly. Okay, now other than that, I will going to come back to the chat panel once again once we cover the another topic. Okay, so perfect. Now let's move into the very first services which we're going to cover today is IAM. But I think one more thing which I missed in between is how you can create the AWS account if you don't have one. So let me show you. It's very super easy. Just write AWS free account, and that's it. And just go over here and fill up the values, like what is your name, your email address, your credit card details, your debit card details, whatever you're gonna use it, and that's it. You're gonna have one. Okay, so this is very much important. Like, once you have signed up with a free tier account, one thing which you should be aware of, not all the services are free for 12 months. Not all the services. Okay, you can see there are three categories which you should be aware of. Like on my left hand side you can see 12 months free, always free, trials. Now there's a difference. Like always free, you can understand with this, through this word, like always free. So after the 12 months also, these services will going to be free. Okay, so you can choose this option and you can see like what are those services which will gonna free for always. But again, they have some threshold. As soon as you're going to cross that threshold, they're going to charge you accordingly. Now other than that, you got 12 months free. So the day when you have created your AWS account, 12 month, So since then to the 12th month, those services are free. Okay, of course you have to maintain the threshold whatever they offer, and after the 12 month pass by, whatever services you're going to use it, they're going to charge you accordingly. Okay, so in 12 months EC2 also comes in, S3 also comes in. Okay, and right now I'm not using the free tier account, so for how many hours if I run my EC2 instances, they're going to charge me accordingly. Okay, so this is the 12-month free criteria. This is for always free. And then you got the trials. Now with the name you can understand what exactly it's all about. So AWS offers a lot of services under free trials. No matter when you create the account, as soon as you're going to create these services like SageMaker, this service is used for running the Jupyter notebooks where you can train and test your models, your AI models. So over here, the SageMaker, this comes under the free trial of 2 months. Okay, so for example, you have created your account on 26th of May, and you have created the SageMaker services on 1st of June. So it's not like that it will be free all year like 2026. The SageMaker will be only free to you to just under that 2 months. So from 1st June, then the 1st June to 30th June, the first month, then 1st July to 31st July, the second month, and that's it. You won't able to use this service free of cost. You can use the services, but you have to pay for it. Okay, so this is how free trial works. Okay, this is for AppStream, this is for Lightsail. So first of all, whenever you create the services and once the job is done, you can just simply delete them off. Okay, it is very much important. If it is running after that period, they will gonna charge you. Okay, and sometimes they charge much higher. Okay, one of my student, he ran I think the quick side, I believe so, like say one of the services, I just forget exactly. It charged him $140, something like that, and he got shocked how I can, you know, get rid of that problem. So I just told him like to contact the sales team of AWS. If you're not work with that services just for trial you have just created, you can just ask them, but you can just hope. It's not like that they're just going to give you the full you know discount of whatever you have charged for. So the thing is like the thumb rule you can say, like whatever services you run, no matter like free, always free, or 12 months free, it's very much important. Once the job is done, just simply turn them off. Okay, don't run all the time. Okay, now, these are the services which you can see under different categories: 12 months free, always free, and trial. Okay. So this is the URL which you can follow: aws.amazon.com free, and that's it. It will going to help you to go to that URL. I'm just putting the URL so that I can share afterwards. Okay, and this is the another URL which I can share you afterwards. Okay, so these are the two URLs which I just copied. So in this way you can create your free tier account. It's super easy to do so. Okay, now let's jump in to our very first services, which is AWS IAM. Yes, I can start with EC2 and S3, but I'm starting with IAM because IAM is pretty important. Okay, let me tell you why. So let me just get back to our PPT. Now, what is IAM? Before understanding IAM, you should be aware of auth. Now, auth comes with two type. One is authentication, and other one is authorization. Okay. Now let's take the example of your office building. Okay, you got some iCards or whatever. So in order to enter that building, you're just gonna use that iCard. Okay, to get inside of your building. So what it tells, like you're proving yourself like I'm the legitimate employee of this office. Okay, so over here also the authentication means you're just proving yourself. Okay, so that you can use or access the AWS services. So the first thing which comes is authentication. Okay, the second thing which comes in once you enter the building. Okay, so uh, it like what are the things which you can access inside that building. So it totally depends upon like what kind of permission you got. Okay, what kind of permission you got. So if you're at high level position, you can just enter anywhere. Okay, but if you're just a fresher, it's not like that you can just enter anywhere. Okay, so permission decide what places you can access. Okay, in AWS also authorizations tells about the permission. Okay, like what are the permissions you have to access the services. Okay, the AWS services. Now why I'm saying this thing, like for example, that idea, let's stick to that idea. You got the brilliant idea and it's superbly working fine. Okay, Now what happened, like now you want to scale. So you have hired some people who is a core part of your team, but there's something, some task which you want to done with any kind of freelancer, a freelancer like me. Okay, because most of the tasks I do freelancing. So you want to hire some freelancer who's gonna work on some specific task, and that's it. Okay, so you don't have to touch any other things of your application. Only the task which you have given, only that thing will going to be done by that freelancer, and that's it. Okay, so over here, first thing first, it's not like that anybody can access my AWS services. Okay, so I'm just going to create some identity for that freelancer through authentication. Okay, so that they can prove themselves. Okay, the identity. Second thing, the permission which I'm going to assign to that freelancer account, so that those services where he is asked to do, only those services can be accessed by him. Okay, so authentication and authorizations is very much important. And from here, this IAM comes into the picture. I stands for identity, A stands for access, and M stands for management. So first thing first, in order to prove your identity, and once you have proved your identity, like what permission you have to access different thing. Okay, so in order to manage such things, we use IAM services. That's why we call it IAM, Identity and Access Management. It enables you to secure control over your AWS resources. Okay, it helps you like who can access what inside the AWS. Okay, who and what they can access. So these are the key features which you should be aware of. Like over here, you can see this is IAM, this is the identity, the who part, this is the permission, the what part. So users, groups, roles, these are all identities. The permission is the policies. Let's create one to see how this thing will gonna work. And it's super easy. Let me just do one thing. Uh, Last time when I've taken the session, over there, I have, I think, 230 something like that participants, and today I hit my one of the maximum number, which is I think 365 comes, sometimes 366 comes. Let me just take the photo of it, okay, for the memory. Okay, so over here, let's jump into it. This is my highest number for today's session. Okay, now over here, let's go and check out the IAM part, how we can create one. Just you can just go to the IAM, and over here I'm going to show you that how you can create the users. Okay, let's talk about the freelancer which we're talking about. So over here, I will go to the user section and click on create user. And I'm just gonna give a name like uh, my app freelancer, something like that. You can just give anything. Here I'm just using my app freelancer. So over here, I just given the name. Okay, and after that, there's an option to choose from provide user access to management console. So this is the management console. Okay, so if you want that user to access that management console, you can just simply check mark. And once you have check mark, you have to provide the password. Okay, so over here, I will go with the auto generated password, because writing the right password, writing any password and then simply forget them doesn't make any sense. So I just go with auto generated password. And after that, you can see there's one thing coming over here which is check mark already, like user must create a new password at next sign in recommended. So, as I said, like IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. Okay. So you're creating right now the identity, the user. Okay. You can see this is identity, the user which you're creating. But once they have access have the access of AWS Management Console, but still they cannot change their password. For changing their password as well, they need the permission, okay, for doing that action. So over here you can see this particular check mark gives that permission, which is IAM user change password policy. This is a permission which allow this freelancer user to change their password. They can put their own password. So just imagine what kind of control you're gonna have it with the help of IAM. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. And then there's one term which you should be aware of, which is least privilege principle. Okay, it's not like that, like if any guest comes to your house, you're just going to show your locker where you put all your jewelries or all your cash. Okay, they have some restricted areas. Okay, the guest cannot open anything without any permission. Okay, so they have their restricted area. In the same way over here as well, in AWS as well, like who is accessing what is very much important. Okay, and it's always advised, like whatever, whoever is coming, they have the some boundaries. Okay, and the boundaries should only allow to do only those things which they are allowed for. Okay, like which they have to do it for. For example, the freelancer which I have hired have to build some AI related services which I will going to later on integrate on my app. Okay, so I'm just going to give the permission of the the machine learning services, the EC2 and S3, whatever the services are required. I won't give the permission of any other services. Now, for example, you have given complete access to your freelancer and you have not paid that freelancer, he can just simply log into your console and then simply launch some satellites. Okay, there's some service known as satellite. I don't know, I've never used this particular services, but just a joke apart. I'm saying like you have not paid that freelancer very well, he can launch anything. Okay, so it's very much important to give the limited access to the user. Okay, only those access which through which they can do their work, not more than it, not less than it. Okay, this is what LPP stands for, least privilege principle. Okay, and that's why you can see at the very beginning when we are creating the user, they don't have any permission, zero permission. Okay, even for changing the password, we have to allow, we have to give this permission to that user so that they can change the password. That, I hope that makes sense. So how you can, apply the LPP, the least privilege principle. Okay, so I have checked my this option. So as of now, what I have filled, I have given the name, which is my app freelancer, and I want that freelancer to access the AWS management console. And because I'm just only creating one user, so I won't go with this particular option because that guy is freelancer, not part of my organization. So I'm just going with the straightforward option. And here I have just gone with this auto generated password and then check my this thing to change the password if I want to. So next, after this, it will going to ask you what permission you want to give to that user. So it's your choice. Either you can add that user, that particular group which already having some sort of permissions, and automatically those permission given to that user. Okay, but I won't go with this option. Neither I will go with this option, like whatever users you have created, if you want to copy those permission to the newly created user which is the freelancer, you can go with this option, but I won't go with that way. I'll just go over here and directly apply the policies over there. Okay, so for example, I will go and give access to EC2 read only access, and that's it. Okay, only one permission I'm giving, read only access. So go to the next. So from here you can review everything, like the username, the console password type, password is required or not, and these are the permission which I'm adding right now. This permission will allow our freelancer user to change their password, and this permission allow them to access the EC2 console, just to access. They cannot control anything because we are only giving read only permission. Okay, they can list whatever EC2 instances are running, whatever EC2 instances are stopped or whatever. They can get all those details, but they cannot create one. Neither they can stop one. They can literally do cannot do anything. Okay, only read things is possible. So only two permission I'm adding right now to this freelancer, and after that we're going to test that is it working or not, and then we're going to modify the permission to check everything's working fine or not. Let's do that. So we'll go over here and click on create user. Once you did that, you can see you have successfully created your user. Congratulations. Now this is the console URL which you have to follow. This is the username and this is the console password. Let me tell you one thing, my friend, over here. This is a message which you can read over here. Is like, this is the only time you can view and download this password. After you have closed this window, you won't be able to access the password. So it's very much important to download the CSV file. Okay, so let's do that thing as well. I will go over here. um, I will going to create a over here. Let's go over here only. I will go over here and copy the path and download the CSV, and over here just going to put the credentials over there. That's it. Perfect. Now once the credentials are added, I can just open this particular Excel file to see all of them. So this is the username, this is the password, and this is the console sign in URL. So I just have to copy this URL to log in. So I can just simply use the incognito mode to log in with another account. So this is a URL which I just copied from the Excel sheet only. Now over here it's asking for the username. So the username is my app freelancer. Just put over here. The password is something this, and then sign in. Once you have signed in, you can see it's asking for resetting the password because this is something which we have check marked. So over here I have to put the old password, and after that what I will gonna do, I'm just gonna put 1 so that I will remember what I did over there. Okay. Oh, sorry, just a second. So in this way I have changed the password, and then I can click on continue to sign in, and in this way I have successfully logged in with my app freelancer account. Okay, you can see from here very clearly. But there's a thing, you can see there's one thing which you can see very clearly, which is coming over here: access denied, access denied, access denied, access denied everywhere. Okay, now over here, for example, if I want to open S3, for example, okay, let's go to the S3. You can see everything comes in over here is like access denied because I have not given that permission. Okay, I have not given that permission, so everything comes in over here is like access denied. Now not only this, I can open IAM, for example. Okay, I go over here in IAM. I can change my permission by myself, but no, you can't do that. You don't have your permission for doing so. So you can see, although he can go to this IAM services through dashboard, but because we have not given that permission, this user cannot add any other for permission. You can see everything is coming over here is like access denied, access denied, access denied everywhere. Okay, so this is power of IAM, and this is how you can apply LPP, least privilege principle. This is one of the best practices which you should follow while working with AWS. Let me again tell you: least privilege principle, which allows the user to access those services whatever they are required to, neither less nor more. Okay, they have a boundary, that's it. This is what LPP stands for, and this is how you can apply LPP. So for example, if I want this user to access EC2 because we have given that permission to read, okay, I can just go over here and choose EC2 services. Over here I won't see access denied thing over here because I have given that permission. Let me just go to this North Virginia region because over there I have one instance which is in stop condition. So I can just go over here and can see this is a stop instance. For example, I just want to run this instance. So I can just go over here, click on instance state, and click on start instance. If I were gonna do that, oops, I could not do that because I don't have that permission to do so, because I have only given read only permission. If I go over here, my app freelancer, you can see only two permissions are given. One is read only, and other one is I user change password, and that's it. I could not do any other action related to EC2. For example, running the EC2 instances. I could not do that. Now over here you can see what the message is mentioned over here. You are not authorized to perform this operation. This user is not authorized to perform this particular action. So let's do one thing. Instead of giving all the permission, let's give this particular permission to this user. Okay, let's do that. In this way, we're going to learn some other thing, and that other thing is how to write the AWS IAM policy, where you can mention what permission you want to add. Let's do that, and it's super easy. Let me show you. You just go to the add permission, click on add permission, and once it is open, you can just a second, you just go over here, click on create inline permission. Okay, now over here there are two ways are there. One is through JSON, where you have to write all the things, or you can just go with the visual way, which is much easier. Okay, so which service you want to talk, which where that action belongs to, so which is EC2. I will go over there and search for this particular uh, service, the action, which is EC2 start instance. Let me just write that stuff over here, remove this thing. So now I can check mark this option, and then click on next. And here I can just write my app freelancer user custom policy. I know this name is a bit long, but this will going to help me to remember so that I can delete this policy whenever I want to. So this is what I did. Like I have added one action, one permission over here, and I've created one policy for that. Now I can just go over here, click on create policies. That's it. Now I've created that policies. Now let's go over here and check whether this user can run this instance or not. So I'll go over here, click on duplicate so that I can still see that message which we were getting previously. So I will go over here and choose that instance, go over here and click on start instance. Previously when we did that, we got this particular error, but let's see what happens over here this time. Start instance. So over here you can see it is in the pending state. Okay, this is in the pending state. So from here what you understand, from here you understand that how you can add the permissions. Okay, how you can add the permission. It is super easy to do so. Okay, so it's super easy to add the permission by creating your custom policies. And let me show you how we did that. So let me show you how you can do that once again. Like for example, if you want to stop this instance, you won't be able to do that because that permission is not given to you once again. So only start action is there, not a stop one. So what you can do, you can just choose the custom policy which you have created and then click on add permission to that thing. Okay, let me just go over here and edit the policy, and from here I'm just gonna choose stop. Okay, we can just go to the visual one, go over here, action allowed, and choose uh stop. Okay, so you can go over here and click on next, save the changes, and now you can try. Okay, previously we were getting this error, but now you won't get that error because we make that changes. Okay, so you can just go over here and stop the instance. Now you're able to do that. So this is how you can add the permissions to your IAM user. It is super easy. You can see super easy. Now it is stopping this particular instance. So from here we understand like through IAM what we can do, we can create the identities, and then after creating the identities we can set the permission that identity can do inside our AWS environment. Okay, so it is super easy. You can just use the visual editor, like whatever kind of permission you want to give, you can just give it very easily. Now let's get back to the definition part once again. So IAM stands for Identity and Access Management, which we learn about, which helps you to enable secure control over AWS resources. You can see how that freelancer user cannot access anything else. Whatever permission we have allowed, only those things can be done. Manage who can do what in your AWS environment. This is what AWS IAM is all about. The key features, users, which we have seen that how to create the IAM user, the groups. Now we're going to talk about groups in some time, but these are the other four things which are the part of IAM: users, groups, roles, and policies. Okay, the key feature is like fine-grained permission control. This is how you can implement LPP. It also supports the multi-factor authentication. Like you have to you have to just use AWS, sorry, not AWS, there's one tool is there, Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator tool, or Duo application, through which you can set the MFAs for your AWS account. Okay, you can just simply scan the QR code whatever comes in, and that's it. I'm going to show you that how you can do that. It's super easy. You can just go over here, um, you can just go over here and go to the security credentials, click on assign MFAs, just write the device name, and then choose the authenticated app, and then it was just going to ask you to scan this QR code. Okay, this is a QR code which you have to run in, and then afterwards you will going to successfully add MFA for this account. Okay, so it's super easy to do so. My personal favorite is Duo. Okay, Duo security, through which you can add uh, like MFA devices for your AWS account. It is super easy to set up your Duo account. Just download the app, log in with your account. That's it. Okay, and then simply scan the QR code which I've shown you, and that's it. And everything will going to be, you know, but done by automatically. So Duo app is very much powerful tool and other authenticator tool as well. Now MFA means multi-factor authentication. So you're not only providing the password, because password can be leaked. Okay, if you share your password to somebody else for doing some particular task and you forget to change the password, so somehow your password is compromised. So what you can do, you can have the additional layer of security, which is MFA. Okay, MFA provides the token all the time. Okay, after every 30 seconds or 20 seconds. Okay, let me show you how this is going to look like. This is my Duo app, and over here you can see, like on my screen, this code is coming over here all the time. So after 30 seconds or 60 seconds, it will going to be get updated. So which means like one who is trying to access the AWS account is the legitimate one after providing the right password and after providing the right MFA code. Okay, so AWS IAM can be integrated with AWS organizations and IAM identity centers. These are basically used for managing the large scale users. Like if you, for your organization where multiple users are there, and over there multiple permission have to be applied, multiple things you have to take care of. Over there we can integrate IAM with AWS organization and IAM identity centers for managing them in scale. Now IAM core components, which I have just talked about, users can represent the people or application. That's why it asks for whether you want to give that console management support or not, because for people it is required, for application it is not required. Okay, now groups are collections of users. We're going to talk about groups in some time, and roles also. The policies, we have just seen how we can create the policies very easily with the help of visual editor. Okay, and this is the whole chart which I have talked about previously. Now you can have multiple policies like manage policies, inline policies, permission boundaries, and service control policies. So what are managed policies? Managed policies are like, you can just go over here and click on permission. You can see this is AWS managed, and this is the customer inline. The policy which you have created, okay, and which we only be going to work for this user, is known as customer inline. Okay, but if you see over here inside the policy section, you can see there's other permissions where customer manage is written. Okay, not customer inline. So customer managed policies can be used with other users, but customer inline cannot be used. Okay, because this particular policies is only meant for this particular user. That's the difference. Okay, because I have created only for this user, not for everyone. So that's the difference between customer inline and customer managed. So customer managed are those policies which we create, and AWS managed policies are those policies which AWS creates. Okay, so because AWS is running so many applications for so many organizations, so they have better idea. Okay, like what kind of permission they might need. So accordingly, they have created the permissions in that way. Okay, but if this 1412 policy does not satisfy your need, you can create your own policies, and I've shown you how you can create one. It is super easy. Just go over here, click on create policies, then choose visual editor and choose whatever services you want to work with, and then you can choose whatever actions you want to have, like all right action, for example, and then that's it. Okay, and for this you can see this is how the JSON file will going to be get created. Okay, oh, I just have to choose it once again. For example, all EC2 action, and then you can just later on over here remove. Okay, let me just go over here. All list action, all read action, and in write, all write action, or these three things I'm missing. Okay, so you can just see over here. This is what I have added. Okay, let me just remove the list function. Okay, only read and write is there. Okay, this much. So you can just go over here and click on next. Once you did this, or it's exceeded the white space. Okay, let me just check. So many things out there, so you can simply use asterisk in that condition. Okay, but this is how the things will going to look like. The policy editor, you can see this is how the things will going to look like. These are different actions which I have given uh, to this policies. Okay, these are different permissions which I'm allowing. So over here it already exceeded that threshold, so I have to change accordingly. Okay, so there's some limit is there, the character count, which is 6144, and we have already exceeded. So in that case, what you can do, you can choose all the services and write those services which you don't want to, and then write instead of writing allow, you can just write deny in that case. Okay, so this is how you can work easily with the IAM policies. But super easy to do the things with the help of visual editor instead of writing the code. Okay, super easy. You can see here is knowing the fundamentals is very much important. And once you are going to open the console, want to create the services, want to work with the services, it's pretty easy, because once the concept is clear at your mind, doing the things becomes much easier. So always try to cover the why part, why we need to use IAM, why we need to use EC2 S3, whatever. First answer the why part, and once the why part is clear, you know what are the things you can do it with that, and then implementing them is secondary, and it's pretty easy to do so. Okay, now over here we're not writing the code completely from scratch, so that's why I'm saying it's easy. Now over here, um this is a policy which we talk about. Now let's talk about the groups. Now over here I'm gonna do one thing. I'm going to click on create group, and over here I'm just gonna uh, create a group name like freelancer group. Okay, freelancer group. So over here, I've created one group with the name freelancer. So whoever joins to this group, whatever permission is already assigned will goes to that user. Okay. So over here, I'm going to choose our user, which is my app freelancer, and here I can just attach the policies. Here I'm going to attach, for example, S3 full access. Okay. So this permission I'm adding. Okay. Now click on create the user group. Now one user group we have created, which is freelancer group. It has one user and has one permission, which gives S3 full access. Okay, now if you go to the users part and if you check my app freelancer, so now you're going to see something different. So these are the services which are added directly, okay, which we have added, and this is directly, this is inline. But this is the one, this is the permission which you're seeing right now, Amazon S3 full access. We have given this permission through this group, so somehow it is inheriting those permission from this group. So this is how this thing will gonna look like. So if you go over here to this particular account and try to access S3, okay, you can try to access S3. You can see like you are able to access the S3 bucket. Previously, you were not able to do so, but now you can access. Now, just remember, if I go over here and remove this user from the freelancer account, this particular thing will goes forever. Not forever, until unless you will gonna add by yourself. So I will go to this user groups once again and go to the freelancer group where it is. Freelancer groups. This is the one which we have created, and I'm going to remove this user. Okay, I'm going to remove this user. Now what happens as soon as I have removed this user, if you go over here and refresh it, okay, this thing will goes forever. Let me just duplicate it. You can see that permission which were coming previously will not be available over here anymore. You can see only 3 permissions are there. Here 4 permissions are there. Amazon S3 full access is not available over here because we had removed that user from the group. So whatever permission was there inside the group is now that user cannot inherit. Okay, now if I go over here to this S3 thing and then refresh it, you can see we're going to get that error. Okay, we're going to get that error, and that error will be access denied. So this is how you can manage the permission very easily. Now what happens in real world, like for example, you have a multiple team. Okay, for example, you have a one team which belongs to developer. Okay, one team belongs to uh, DevOps, for example. Okay, and one team belongs to a freelancer you hire, or ops team you can say, and one team belongs to freelancer. Okay, so over here the difference between all this group is like all the groups have different permissions. Okay, all the groups have different permissions, and for every group, you have multiple users. Okay, this is the developer. Okay, this is a developer. This is a DevOps user. This is the ops users, and this is the freelancer user. Okay, let me just add more users over there, because in reality there will be more. So over here you have three users in dev group, and three users in DevOps group, and three users in ops group, and in freelancer you have two people. Okay, so this particular guy who you have hired as a freelancer to do something, now he's doing literally a very good thing. Okay, whatever task you are giving it, he's fabulous. He do the things very efficiently way. Now you want to hire this guy. So previously, whatever permission was given to this freelancer, the limited permission, now you can just simply change the group. Okay, you can just simply change this group. Let me just change the color. Like, you can just simply uh, so these are the freelancer. Now what you can do, you can just simply remove that user from freelancer group to developer group. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You can do it very easily. For example, over here, uh, 20 permission you have given to this group, and over here you have given uh, 80 permissions. Okay, so you don't have to add 80 permissions. Like, you don't have to remove first 20 permission then add 80 permissions. It will be long day work. Over here what you can do, simply you can just remove that user from that group and add to that group now where it belongs to. So for this freelancer previously having 20 permissions, now this user have an 80 permissions which the developer group requires, okay, to work with the AWS environment and create the services. So that's how group works. Okay, it helps you to manage the permission at scale. Okay, you can see this the number, so you don't have to remove 20 permission which freelancer group offers. Okay, and you don't have to add 80 permission explicitly. Everything will going to be done automatically. Okay, so you can just simply remove that user from the freelancer group, and you can just simply add that user to the developer group. Okay, so this is how the things will going to look like. Super easy. Okay, so this is how the IAM group works. Okay, and if you see the definition, what it says a collection of IAM groups. A IAM group is a collection of IAM user. It is used to simplify the permission management. Okay, you can attach policies to groups instead of individual users, and in this way you can have different groups: admin, developers, auditors, whatever. Okay, and if some auditor is promoted or want to switch to this particular group developer, so you don't have to remove the permission associated with auditors and then add the permission which are associated with developers. Okay, that can be done automatically with AWS. Just you have to remove that user from that group and to add to a new group. This is how IAM group works. So we talk about IAM user, which represent a single person or application, and it has a long-term credentials, and it can access to AWS via CLI, SDK console, which I've already talked about, and can be assigned permission directly or through groups. Okay, this is something which we have to learn. Then IAM group, this is a collection of IAM user, and it is used to simplify permission management, like adding 20 removing 20 old permissions and adding 80 permission is a tough job, but through group it is easy. Attach policies to groups instead of individual users. Okay, now here comes the IAM policies, which we have already talked about, written in JSON, and these are the key elements: allow, deny, action, like what action you want to allow, and on which resource you want to allow, and if you have certain condition like this user can only see, this user can only allow, so you can set that permission over here. Okay, so this is how you can work with IAM policies, IAM groups, IAM user. Now, what the heck is this IAM role? So, if you see the definition of IAM role and IAM user somehow looks similar, but at the end they are different. Okay, like IAM roles allow you to access the AWS services, of course, but there's a difference. The difference is it provides you the temporary credentials. Like over here, IAM user provide the long-term credentials, whereas IAM here, I think one slide got missed for IAM role, but IAM role provide the temporary credentials. If you see this definition from here, you can understand better. IAM user versus IAM roles, you can see here very clearly. Like in IAM users are specific individual or application with long-term credentials, whereas IAM roles are identities used by trusted entities to gain temporary credentials. This is the big difference between them: long-term credentials and temporary credentials for accessing the resources. Now, roles are ideal for applications or services needed for short-term access, while users are best for human users with ongoing access. Okay, so I hope you got the point, like when to use I am user and when to use I am role. Now, creating an I am role is super busy. It's not that much difficult. You can just simply, create the I am role and attach a permission, whatever permissions you want to add. Okay, let me show you how you can do that. You can just go over here, roles, click on roles. Now here there are multiple options are coming in, like AWS services want to access other AWS services, or any other AWS account want to access your AWS account, or through web identity, through SML, or through any other trust policies. So here I'm selecting this AWS services, and here I'll go with, for example, EC2. Now my EC2 wants to access the S3. Okay, I can just write S3 full access, and in this way I have created a role. This is my app freelancer role. Okay, to access S3, something like that. So over here you can see this is a policy which we have written, and with the help of it, uh, this this role, to whoever it is attached, will be able to access S3 for temporary time. Okay, so this is how the things will going to be look like in IAM role. Okay, so this is how I've shown you that how you can create the IAM role. Now when you are going to see the EC2, I can show you that how you can attach that IAM role over there. Okay, and it is super easy to do so. We're going to see that thing. Okay, so let me just go back over here. Let's just go back over here, and let's see, like, if you have any uh, doubts, further doubts you have. Okay, so I can still, I'm getting so many uh, LinkedIn URLs, okay, and different YouTube videos. If you want me, you can just simply connect me over there to LinkedIn. Okay, let me share you my URL once again. You can just simply go over here and connect me. Okay, this is my URL. Okay, and then simply, yes, I have shared the slides. Okay, and I've shared the URL before, but let me share it again if you need one. So you can just go over here. Yes, you can use it. This is a cool trick. I also did that, Sriram. Can use different Gmail account to use free trials 2 times. Okay, but use one by one, not together. Okay, and again, I got one Python developer. Okay, can you give an example? Okay, I've already covered. Thanks, Neeraj, for answering that. How we can differentiate what, Neeraj? Can you believe me? And this video is, I think, is yes, it is also live stream. So from YouTube also you can see them. No problem, others. You can still watch the video on YouTube. And from here, this is the link which you can see. Okay. So over here, I can see multiple comments over here. Okay. So I saw so many LinkedIn URLs coming in. Okay. Okay, perfect. So if you have any other doubts, you can just simply mention on, chat panel. I will be happy to help you out. And that 3 hours is pretty not that enough time. That's why my pace is a little bit faster. But no worries, if there's a chance, we can even extend one. Okay. So over here, yes, you can raise your hands if you want. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hands, and then you can type your doubts over there. Yes, of course, cloud will going to have a good future, because see, whatever application, or even whatever AI application you're going to create, or anybody will going to create, it needs a high resource computation, and at last it will going to run on some cloud environment. So having a cloud skill set is pretty important. Okay, and what I will suggest, because AI thing is also booming, so what you can do, build the AI skills, learn the core, the services of cloud computing, and meanwhile also learn about the AI services which cloud service computing providing, like Bedrock is very much popular. Okay, and even I was creating some projects over there and building the skill set over there, so that I can have projects working on it. So Amazon Bedrock, what it does is just going to help you to work with multiple FMs. FM stands for foundational models. Okay, so if you go over here and see what are the foundation model is it provides, let me just show you direct over here, that thing was there. So these are the all the foundational models. Okay, A121, Amazon, Anthropic, Cohere, DeepSeek, Luma AI. Met previously DeepSeek was not there, but in recent time they have added. So these are all the foundational models, Stability AI. And you believe me, like, because uh, I see a lot of opportunity in AI, and I'm working in prompt engineering, also working in LLMs. So I have been working with, Anthropic. I have been working with Cohere. I have been working with Llama. I think Meta's Llama is what it is, and Stability AI for generating the images. I love the Stability AI because you got an option for doing the negative prompting. So just very cool thing. And I will suggest you, because if somebody is in college, if they want to experiment with other domains, they can also try with AI. But again, let me tell you very clearly, whether you're a developer or any other if you understand any other fields, at the end, like, cloud is a place where you will going to deploy the things, and whenever you will going to scale up, like rise in your career, at any point of time, there will chance you have to know about how cloud thing works, because you have to manage your team, and the application will go to get deployed on the cloud. So knowing cloud is very much essential. Okay, good for the freshers, good for the experienced one as well. And believe me, the AWS already having a lot of projects. Although there are a lot of freelancers also available, but a lot of projects still there available all the time. So because it's a big cloud, and everybody use AWS. Like, most of the projects which I have taken so far are based on AWS only. So over here, this is what all about AWS Bedrock service. This is an AI service, and I recommend you to go with that. And other than that, whatever cloud AWS provide, the machine learning services are fully managed. Now, one more term which I have taken, which is fully managed. Now, what is fully managed? And one is fully managed, and one is self-managed. So fully managed, over there, you don't have to worry about the infrastructure part and a lot of other things. AWS will going to take care of it. In self-managed, you got the control, and also you have to configure the things as well. So in one part, the freelance and the fully managed services is giving you the more convenience thing, and the self-managed giving you more control. So you have to choose the convenience part or whether the control part. Okay, so in machine learning, if you see services like recognition, this one, you can just go over here, recognition, and over here you can access the model which they use. For example, label detection. So there's one image is there, and you can see these are the labels got detected automatically. And there are so many other features which you can test over here, like image properties, image moderation, facial analysis, facial comparison, celebrity recognition. I'm not celebrity, so if you're going to upload my image, you won't find one, but yes, one, if that day comes, you can see from here as well. Text and image pp detection. So these are different features are there of recognition related to the images. For videos also they have one. So over here it is like, uh, you can simply use uh, you can just use these services with the help of APIs, put it on your application to use all these models. Okay, and you don't work on those models because it is already well tested and fully developed. You can just simply use APIs, hit to this services, and get the result. Okay, and doing this thing is very much easy. If you need the code for this, you can just simply send me the message on LinkedIn. I can provide the link. I do have the LinkedIn URL for it, but sorry, my GitHub repository for it, but I have 161 repositories, super impossible to look after, because I just normally create any random repository with random name. So you can just let me know. I will just going to search for it and put that files over there. If it is not there, if it is there, look it into my local system, into my laptop, I'm gonna share. Okay, and I'm going to put on the GitHub from where you can access. Okay, because my area of expertise is DevOps, machine learning, data science, and AI. So This is where you can send me a message and I will be happy to help you out. Now, over here, the one thing which I believe is sharing is caring, the one which we have learned from childhood. So, if you have some any additional information around AI you want to share with me, you can also share. I will be happy to explore those ideas as well and those informations as well. Okay. Now, what else I can talk about? Yes. So we talk about IAM, where we have seen that how you can create the IAM user, and we have tested that how whatever services which we have, uh, whatever permission we have given to access different services, whether they can access or not, and what they can control. We have tested everything. Okay, like with the help of IAM policies, whatever permission we write in, and how it works with the IAM users. Same with we have seen how you can work with IAM groups to manage the permission and scale. Then we have seen how you can write the custom policies through Visual Editor, super easy to do so. And the fourth thing is we have discussed about IAM role. Okay, and I'm going to attach the IAM role to EC2. Okay, so no worries, we're going to do so. And one more thing which we can do over here. I think everything is already covered. Yeah, there's some additional things are there which you can see over here. Like it is not all about IAM completely, but I can just show you a few options over here. Like identity providers. Now, identity providers are pretty important thing. Okay, now for example, you're running the organization. Okay, and in your organization you got different, team members. Okay, and you have already given the credentials to access their their profile dashboard of company. Okay, now they can use the same credentials to access the AWS account. They don't have to create separate AWS account. They can use your the office credentials to access the AWS account, and they can do it with the help of identity providers. Okay, so you can just simply search for it, identity providers AWS, and you're going to get the image which tells everything. So you can see over here, these are different as the active directories of the company, where they already have the database of their users with their credentials. And now with the help of it, they can use the identity IAM center, and then whatever permissions got attached, accordingly they can access the AWS services. So this is how the things will going to look like. Okay, super easy, and it's not that much difficult to add the identity provider, but as of now I don't have any, so I could not able to show you, but implementing it is very much simple. Okay, you can just go over here, add the provider, provide here provider name and the SML link, and that's it. You can uh, test whatever user you have inside that SML, and to see like whether they are able to access the AWS services or not. Now here comes the account settings. So you can set the password policies. This is the default one. You need one uppercase, lowercase, numbers, non-alphanumeric characters, all those kind of stuff. And inside the custom, you can set your own rules. Okay, so setting the permission policy is super easy. Okay, and these are the different admins. I think this is the new thing which they have added. Previously, it was not there. So I don't know what exactly it does, because previously this was missing. I think it is the time they have added. Other than that, you got access analyzer, which is again pretty important service of AWS, which helps you to know what kind of thing the user can access. Okay, and also it is very much important to apply the LPP with the help of this access analyzer. Okay, so you can see the steps which it says. You can create an analyzer to monitor external and you sorry, I think one thing I just got. Okay, over here inside the user you have that thing. Let me just show you my freelancer over here, last access. From here you can see that last access thing. This is something else. Okay, I got confused. So over here it tells you what are the services that user used. Okay, and from here you can control as well. And access analyzer does the same thing but in different style, but it is used for applying the LPP only. If we're going to help you to look after the the permission which you are sharing to the IAM users in the role. If they're not using that action, you can just simply remove them. Okay, it says like you can create an analyzer to monitor external and unused access for an organization or an individual account. Okay, we're going to review each and everything action and generates the finding for unused access granted to the whatever IAM user it is, and then you can simply remove if you want to. Okay, so this is what access analyzer is used for. And then you got some other things for organization, SCPs and all. So just out of IAM, it is much related to IAM organization, which is again another services of AWS to managing the large numbers of users. So IAM organization is a different topic, but this is something which you can also consider. Okay, and this is all about IAM. Okay, now let's learn about other AWS services, which is EC2. Very much important. Okay, this is a place where you're going to deploy your application. Okay, so let's go into this EC2 part. So this is how the dashboard looks like. Now over here again, you got so many options, and believe me, it's impossible to cover all the things together. But yes, I'm going to see this afterwards. Okay, so there's so many options comes in EC2, and it's completely impossible to cover all the things. But yes, I can explain you the concepts, and I think we have another session scheduled for tomorrow, which is much related to EC2 and S3, practical, hands-on, much more. We can see other options if we miss something. Okay, so over here, what we can start with how we can create the EC2 instances and some other information which you should be aware of before starting one. Okay, so over here, let me just go to the EC2. Okay, so over here, EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. That's why we call it C2, Compute Cloud, C2. It provides the resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It is good for running the applications, the websites, and any kind of workload at scale. And it follows the pay as you go model, like whatever EC2 services, like the instances you're running, they're going to charge you accordingly. Okay, so these are the key features. It offers wide variety of instance type. It also have the feature of auto scaling, also have the feature of load balancing. It is integrated with elastic block storage for persistent storage. So these are the three services which you can uh, integrate with EC2 to have more functionality. I'm going to discuss about this in detail, so no worries. Okay, now instance type. Now this is very much important to know about the instance type, and I can just use one URL to explain this topic in much detail. You can just simply write EC2 instance type. Okay, and over here I believe this is the URL, or it might be this URL. Let me just check. Not this one. Yes, this one. Okay, now over here, let's learn all the concepts through hands-on only. Let's click on launch instance. Let me just choose the US East one, the default reason which I use most of the time. It also helps me to remove the services if something is running. Okay, so click on launch instance, and this is what you're gonna have it. Now name it anything, like my EC2 instance. You can just name anything. Okay, you got the freedom. Okay, now from over here, you have to choose the AMI. Before covering the AMI, let's cover the instance type first because it comes in our PPT. So what is instance type? Okay, what it is and why it is important? It is very much important. Why? Because see, you're gonna use EC2 for running your application. Okay, and application can be any type. Okay, and any application have any kind of requirement. Okay, like whether they are compute intensive application, like where they need a lot of computational resources, whether they need high memory users, or whether they need a high network bandwidth, whatever. Okay, whatever. So every application have their own requirement. Okay, so in order to fulfill that requirement, it is very much important to choose right EC2 instance. Okay, you got my point. It is very much important to choose right instance type. And how we can do that? So over here you can see these are the different type of instance are present over here. Like one is general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing, storage optimized, and HPC, high performing computing. Okay, so you got this bunch of categories over here. Now through a name you can understand, like general purpose, if we're going to have a proper balance of compute, memory, networking. These are the basic infrastructure required for running any application. Okay, so which we have it, like compute, memory, and networking resources. Okay, so any instance type starts with either M or T, stands for general purpose. Okay, so over here you can see this is how it will going to look like for example m8g.media, if we're going to have one cpu with 4 GB of memory, and this is a network bandwidth, and this is the bandwidth for your EBS. Okay, so you can see this is for m8g.large. If you're going to scroll down a little bit, now over here, if you go for T2, T2 is very much small, and it comes under the free tier one. So I'm going to recommend you to go with the T2 instance type. And over here you can see it offers one CPU also, two CPU also, 4 and 8 as well. And these are the different credits per hour, and these are the different memories which it offers. And the network performance is average, low to moderate, something like that. Okay, so from here you can see and understand which instance type will going to be good for you. Now if you go to the compute optimize, and you can see it starts with C also, it is added for compute bound application. So any application which requires high performance processor, in that case you can use instance which is compute optimized. So for example, you want to run uh, batch processing workload, media transcoding. In media it requires a lot of processing, high performance web server, high performance computing, scientific modeling, dedicated game server. If you love the game, you can even use it for creating the game server, the ad server engines, machine learning interface, so on and so on. So this is where high computational requirement is there. Over there you can use the this particular instance type. Okay, now here comes the memory optimized. Now this is much more focused on memory, okay, the RAM. So you can see it starts with R also. Okay, and any application which requires high large data sets in memory, you can go with this particular instance type. Okay, then comes the accelerated computing. It means the the GPU and all. Okay, so over there you can use such instance type. Then comes the storage optimized, where a lot high input output things are happening. So over there you can use the storage optimized instance type. And then HPC is like having their top notch compute, top notch networking, top notch storage, everything top notch, which is where HPC is pretty expensive as well. Okay, so these are the different categories which you can choose from, but I will suggest you, because we are enrolled to free tier one, so over there the T2.micro comes under that subscription. It's not like that you can use any type of instance type. Okay, it's a bit expensive, so you have to choose T2.micro to avail the free thing. Okay, now this is all about instance type. Now let's talk about AMI. What is AMI is? This, it stands for application and OS images. Application machine image, by the way. So an AMI is a template that contains the software configuration, which comes with operating system, application server, and application also required to launch your instance. Okay, and you can search whatever the AMI you want to. So if you have ever used Oracle VirtualBox, VMware Workstation, or some other things, so over there we always choose some ISO files to create one. So it is similar. Okay, this AMI is just an image which comes with operating system and some additional software. Okay, and once you're going to use those image, it will going to create one virtual machines. Okay, which having all the things which is already there into the image. So this is what AMI is, and over here I will go and choose Ubuntu, my favorite one. Okay, and then after this you can choose the architecture as well. I will go and choose the 64-bit, which is already chosen by default. So one is AMI, which you have to select, and one is instance type, which you have to select. Now here comes the key pair. Now key pair again is very much important. What it does, let us understand through the definition only. You can use a key pair to securely connect to your instances. Ensure that you have access to selected key pair before you launch the instance. Now, through this definition, you can understand this definition looks similar. Like when we were learning about auth. Okay, when we were learning about auth, what was that? Over there, authentication is required. Okay, so over here also that we're talking about the authentication. So for example, if you have created the EC2 instance, if you have created the EC2 instance, now after that you want to access this EC2 instance, how you can do that? Okay, how you can do that? So for doing so you need to do SSH. Okay, how you can access this EC2? You can access with the help of SSH. For SSH, you have to prove your identity, like you are the legitimate user. So instead of writing your username password, what basically we do in SSH, we provide the keys. Okay, so we basically use key pairs. Okay, now key pairs means there are some keys which is in pair. So one is public key and one is private key. Now it is very much important, like the right user is actually doing the SSH to access the EC2 instances. So for doing so, what happens, like you're going to have the private key and your EC2 instances are going to have some public key. So whenever you will going to perform the SSH, it will going to use a combination of private key. It goes over here and you know public key will going to be used to verify like this is a legitimate user, and after that you will be able to access this EC2 instance. So this is how the key pair works, and we're going to create a new one. Okay, and here I'm going to give a name, freelancer. Okay, or let's just write AWS GFG new key pair, something like that, so that I can remember. Okay, and then click on keep create key pair. Now it's going to ask you where to keep in, so this is a place where I want to have it. So this is a key pair which I'm going to use it to do the SSH to this EC2 instances which we are creating. Now after that, very important thing which comes over here is the networking. Now we are not going to talk about VPC today, but VPC is something where your instance will gonna run. Okay, so right now it is running inside the default VPC. Okay, so AWS understand, like not all the people know everything about everything. Okay, so they have some default services already created, so you can use them at the time whenever you need them. So over here you can see the default VPC is there, and our instance, our virtual machine will gonna run in that private cloud, the virtual private cloud. Okay, now over here I'm not choosing anything else, everything will going to be default one. Now here comes something new which you should be aware of, which is the firewall. Now firewall is very much important, like it controls like what traffic can go inside and what traffic can go outside. Okay, so if this is your EC2 instances and if we are doing the SSH, this is a kind of traffic only. Okay, which is ingoing traffic. Okay, inbound traffic. Okay, and any traffic can be ingoing, like for example, uh, you have created the application which is running inside your EC2 instance. Okay, you have created one application which is running inside the EC2 instance, and there's a lot of traffic is there. We're gonna who want to access your application, so they can just simply you know hit the URL to access the application. Now the thing is, like this is also ingoing traffic, this is also ingoing traffic. This is doing the SSH and this one is doing HTTPS. Okay, or HTTP. Okay, whatever. So both of them is trying to access something which is inside EC2. Okay, now over here for this SSH we use port number 822. Over here we use the port number 443, or you can see 443 or slash 8080 or 80 whatever. So this is what it is, the port which you have to open. So this is how the things are going to look like. So this is all for ingoing traffic. Now let's talk about outgoing traffic. So this is the outgoing traffic. So for example, you want to download something inside your EC2, so it will going to give the request outside the EC2, and it will hit some internet and to download the resource. For example, you want to download some packages, so it will just going to give the request outside. So if it is given that permission, then only it can look outside and download that package. But if it is disabled, you won't be able to download any package over there. So this is very much important. Okay, so this is all managed by security group. Okay, this all thing is managed by security group. Okay, this all thing is managed by security group. Okay, which helps you to set the firewall rules for your EC2 instances. Okay, so over here, if you go over here, click on edit, and you can just write the security group name like my app security group AWS session, something like that, for me to remember. I'm just copy or let it be, and over here I'm just going to copy over here. I'm going to copy it over here as well. Now over here you can see one inbound rule is already selected, which is the for SSH for port number 2022. Let's add one more if you want to, like you can just write port number 8080, on which your application will be accessible, and then you can just choose anywhere. Okay, if you want to add another one, you can just go over here, custom TCP, and just write port number 80, and then from anywhere, that's it. Okay, now over here it's asking for the storage part, so 8 GB is sufficient. Okay, and 30 GB is total allowed in for free tier. Okay, so it's 30 GB is like, it's not like 30 GB over here, it's the combined value. So if you're running three EC2 instances or four EC2 instances of 8 GB, so it will cross that 30 GB, which is now 32. So they're just going to charge you the one which is additionally created. Okay, so always remember, whatever EC2 instances you create, it should be under 30 GB boundary. Okay, now over here inside you got the advanced details, and from here you can choose the role which you have created. So my app freelancer, I think, then yeah, this is the one which we have created the role. So this gives EC2 to access the S3 with the help of temporary credentials. Okay, so this is the one which we have created, the IAM role, and IAM role is used for the AWS services to access the other AWS services. So over here we have uh, selected the role which we have created previously. Now over here, some other options are coming up. For instance, auto recovery, shutdown behavior, how to shut down, how to hibernate, okay, how to terminate. Okay, like termination protection is like by accidentally you have deleted the EC2 instances. Okay, so it's just going to help you to protect. If it is enabled, you cannot do that. Okay, then stop protection does the same kinds of stuff. Detailed CloudWatch monitoring to give all the information about your EC2 instances. The CPU utilizations and all, then credit specification standard. So these are different options which comes over here to choose from. Okay, now there are some other things which you can explore. Okay, now after this there comes the user data. Now user data is a field where you can put some shell scripts to run in. Okay, and they will going to be get executed once your EC2 instances is up and running. We're going to see after some time, but this is where you can put your shell scripts over there. Okay, now let's launch this instance and see how it's going to look like. So you can see we have created the EC2 instances and it is up and running right now. You can see this is running right now. Right now it is in slicing. So you can wait for a moment if you want to. Okay. Now we have already talked about the instance type. Okay, it really depends upon what kind of application you want to run inside the instance. Okay, and then accordingly you can choose the instance type. Now the launch template is pretty interesting thing. Now what launch template does, like whatever values which we have filled in this launch instance form, you can already fill the values. Okay, like and save the values inside the template. For example, you can go over here, and this is a template which I have created for. Let me just choose the latest one. So this is the one which I have created in recent time, and you can see this is a launch template, and it already filled with the values which I'm gonna choose. The instance type is already selected, the AMI is already selected, the security group is already selected, the key pair is already selected, and this is the uh, you know uh, the shell script which have to be run through user data is already been selected. All the things is selected by default. Okay, so this is how you can create a template, and with the help of template you can create the things very quickly. For example, if I go over here and just write launch instance from the template, it will just going to run it very quickly. Okay, you just go over here, and then all the values is already selected. You can see everything is already selected, every single thing whatever I have saved over there, and then I can just simply launch the instance. It's going to launch the instance very quickly, so it will gonna save a lot of time. Okay, so this is what launch template is all about. You can also create one, and it's very easy. You can just go over there and put the values, choose the values, and then that's it. This is what launch template is all about. Pretty interesting. Okay, now let's see the instance which we have created. the status. So as I can see, this is my EC2 instances, and I can just click over here, connect. Now there's multiple options comes in, but I will going to select the SSH one. Okay. Now over here, this is the command which we need to use in order to access our uh, EC2 instance. Okay, so over here I will go where my that credential is there. I can see this is the our key, the private key. You can see this is our private key. Okay, so I'm just going to open the command prompt over here and just simply run that command. Whatever I got from there, and just hit enter. And you know what? We're going to get an error. You can see we got an error because key contains the private key. Okay, this file contains the private key. It should be protected one, not open for all. And you can see the error which we are getting. Permission for this particular key are to open. It is required that your private key files are not accessible by others. This private key will be ignored. Load key, bad permission, blah blah blah. So what you can do, you can just go over here, go inside the properties, go inside the security tab, and you can see so many other users and group can access this particular keys of my system. So what I can do, I can just go over here and advanced section and then disable the inheritance and remove all the inheritance permissions which we already having. Now we'll go over here and add the principal. In my case, my laptop name is Kali. Kali is inspired by Kali Linux, my one of my favorite uh, operating system. So I used to do hacking in my college days, but I have left that uh, way earlier. So over here, I'm just going to put this name Kali, and then it's just going to choose my name automatically, and then I will go and choose OK with full control, and then OK. Now only one user have access to this particular key, so now I won't get that error which we were getting previously. Let's see and check. So we will go over here and we're going to run the exact same command. Okay, so you can see this time what happens. We are able to access our Ubuntu instance. Okay, so you can see this is Ubuntu which is running in our EC2 instance. So this is what we are getting. So previously we were getting this error and we fixed that error very easily. Just you can go to the settings. Let me show you again. Just go to the properties, security, advanced, and then from here we can remove all those permissions which were there previously, and then add the user which actually going to access this key. In my case, this is my principal. In your case, it will be your uh, computer name. Okay, so in this way you can configure and then simply click OK, and that's it. Okay, so over here you can see this is gender information is coming over here for our instance. The memory users is 20%, swap memory is 0%. This is how much I have utilized my storage, how many processes are running, the IP address. Okay, the private IP address, by the way, you can see from here also that thing is coming up. And that's it. This is how the things will going to look like. Okay, now over here I can just go and just write clear, and this is how the things we're going to do. Now over here I would like to show you something more interesting. So if I write ls-a, I will gonna see one folder with a name .ssh. You can just go to this folder .ssh, and inside this there's one interesting file here which is the authorized key. Now if you're going to cat this authorized key, you're going to see this is the public key which I was talking about. Okay, this is a public key and this is a private key, and this is what key pair meant for, combination of both the keys. Okay, so this is how you can access your EC2 instances through SSH. Okay, now let us do one more thing. I can just go over here, and over here one SSH Apache script which I have added. Just copy this one. How you can run a web server inside your EC2 instances. It's super easy, and in the similar way you can run your applications as well. But will be the topic for tomorrow, not for today. Okay, so over here, let me just go over here, and so over here, I'm going to create one file with a name apache.sh. and this will going to contain, oh, what happened? Just a second. Let me just do one thing, because this thing happened whenever you do through CMD. Let me just do it over here directly with the help of this option. Like over here, you don't need a key, because you're already proving your identity because you have already logged in. So this is much authenticated earlier. So over here, I'm going to create a file, and then okay, and then I will gonna paste this. So I believe this is something which we have copied. Yep. Now I can simply save this. Now I can just simply run sudo sh apache.sh. So it will just going to run our shell scripts, whatever we have written over here there. And once it is done, you'll be able to see your home page of the Apache. You have to wait for a moment because sometimes it takes some time to download and install the things. But over here you can see how it is able to do that, because the security group which I have set, and which is set by default, you can see every traffic going outside is allowed. Okay, if you go to the outbound rule, you can see all the traffic is allowed to go outside from the EC2 instances. Over here in the inbound rules, only these three ports I have given the option, like only these ports are open to go inside the EC2 instances. Okay, port number 22, port number 8080, and port 80. That's it. Okay, now over here you can see we got the message hello from EC2 on Ubuntu. Now I can just go over here, copy this, and open a new tab, port 80, and then hit enter. Why it's taking time? Oh, and there's a reason behind. So you can see this is how we are able to access our uh, the index page which we have created, and it is running inside the Apache web server. You can also check it from here as well. Like you can just write sudo system ctl status. Let me just write systems. Oh, so many things are going to come in. Let me just write sudo service, and then sudo service status all. And over here you can see Apache 2 is up and running. This is the thing which we have downloaded, installed, and run this particular services over here, and then we are running our web application over there. Okay, so this is how we ran our applications at the web server, the Apache 2. Okay, and you can go to this particular path where you can access this particular file, which is inside the variable folder. You can just go over here, just write cd, and then simply paste. I have to remove this index.html because this is not any index. So you can see once you go inside that particular folder with that path, you will going to find that index.html, and then you can see the content. This is content which we have written through the shell script. Okay, so this is what it is running. So it's super easy to do so. Once you have created the shell script, simply run them. If you're unable to access it, check the security groups, like whether that port is open or not. If it is not, then you won't be able to access it. Now let us change the value of security group. Let's see what happens over there. So it is, we are able to access it with the help of port number 80. So let's go over here and remove that one. Okay, so I will go over here and remove this one, and this one also if you want to. So just remove that particular rule. And now if you're going to try to access, okay, so previously we were able to access it. Now if you're going to run this one, you won't be able to access anymore. Just a second, and you're going to see we won't be able to access it. Duplicate. Okay, you can see it's still running because it was open lastly, so that's why we're able to see the output. But you can see now our website is unable to reach. Okay, and the reason behind, due to the security group, now we are not allowing that ingoing traffic to go through port number 80 to access our application. So security group is pretty important. From here you can understand very clearly. So how we can add that rules once again. So how we applied, and in the similar way we can do the things. So let me show you how you can do that. You can just go over here and click on edit inbound rule, and then add the rules. So port number 80, and the source will be from anywhere. Okay, and then save. Once it is saved, you can go over here and check. So previously we were not able to access it, but now we are able to access it. So this is how everything is happening, just because of security group. Security group manages the ingoing and outgoing traffic, the firewall. Okay, it is a firewall of EC2, and from here you can see very clearly how it impacted. Okay, so creating the security group is pretty easy. Okay, now there are multiple things which you should be aware of, but we don't have that much of time to cover each and everything. So over here we talk about the security group, which is the firewall for your EC2 instances. We have one more thing which is known as NACL. Okay, NACL, which is used for setting the firewall at subnet level. Okay, so this is what we have to learn about. Now over here you can also create the your own AMI as well. Okay, like the AMI which we have used, the Ubuntu one, it doesn't come with our application installed. So if you want your own AMI where your application is already created, so you can do such thing as well. Super easy. You can just go to the instances, and then you can just go and choose the action, and then you can go to sorry, image and template, create the image. Okay, you can also create the template from the instance. So this is something which is there. If you want to run this exact same instance, you can also do that thing. From here you can monitor and troubleshoot, get the system log, get the instance screenshot, detailed monitoring, all those kind of information can be seen from here. The security, if you want to change the security group, you can do that. If you want to change the IAM role, you can do that from here. The networking, so if you want to attach any network interface, okay, you can also do that, or detach anyone. If you want to connect with any RDS database, you can also do that. So these are multiple things coming over here which you can do it from here. Some settings are there, like these are the options which we saw when we were creating the EC2 instances. From here also you can adjust the value. Okay, and from here you can add the user data. But the thing is, like, the limitation of user data is like it only run for the first time when your system get boots, and once your system already rebooted, then it won't run. Okay, so that's the thing which you should be aware of. Now other than this, like spot request, saving plan, reserve instances, dedicated host, capacity reservation, all are different purchasing option which EC2 provides. Okay, so I have a slide on it which you can consider to understand all those stuffs, like pricing option. So one is on demand, the one which we have created right now. Like whatever EC2 instance you created just right now goes with on demand pricing model. Like how long I will going to run that EC2, it will going to charge me accordingly. Okay, now reserve instance is like it will gonna save up to 75%, because over here you're going for the annual plan for 1 2 3 years. Okay, so they know you are the regular customer, so they're just going to give you the discount accordingly. Okay, for example, for example, you go to the any burger shop. Okay, I won't take the name because that might create the issue. So you just go to the burger shop, and over there you go over there and just order your favorite burger, and then they're just going to deliver you with the regular prices. Okay, because they don't know like you're going to come tomorrow or not. So you're just a regular customer, so uh, they're just going to give the standard burger with the standard price. Okay, no discount. But if you're the loyal customer, you visit the restaurant, the burger restaurant, like once in a week or twice in a week. Okay, so in that case they're going to create one card, the loyalty card, and with the help of that loyalty card you can get some discount. Okay, although in order to buy that loyalty card you have to pay something, Okay, they have their own regulations, you know it. So over here, reserved instances, saving plans, spot instances work in a similar way. You're actually buying that loyalty card, okay, because you're going to subscribe to that service for a long period of time. Like some commitment is there, okay, and according to that commitment, they're giving you the discount. Okay, so this is how the things were going to look like. You can also do one thing. You can just go to the AWS calculator to do rough estimate. You can just go over here, AWS pricing calculator, click on create estimate, and then choose your region. For example, I will choose US East 1, and then I will go and choose EC2. Okay, and then create the estimation. So I have chosen the EC2 and all. Now over here I can choose dedicated. Dedicated is pretty expensive. Dedicated hold, of course, more, it will be most expensive. So you can choose the where you want to run your instance. Okay, and the whatever Linux you want to run. Okay, I'm just keeping everything basic, by the way. Over here I'll go with the one which have very high CPU, for example this one. Okay, and we charge 360 US dollar per hour, pretty expensive. So if you go over here, and if you go with the on demand option, so you can see they're going to charge you around 2,63,520 US dollar monthly. Oh my god. So if you go with this option, which is the some compute saving plan, it's just going to decrease the cost by 66%. You can see, or you can see 50% at least they have discounted. Same happened with uh, the other purchasing option. You can choose from standard reserve instances, you got more discount. Okay, because they have some other limitation which you have to take care of. Convertible reserve instances will be a little bit expensive compared to the saving plan. This is the standard reserve instances, okay, going to give you more discount. So you can see the calculation from here, and then decide which one will be more good for you. You can just choose over here. For 1 year it is this much, for 2 year, wow, what discount, for 3 years basically. So this is how the things will going to look like. Okay, from here we can do that calculation. Let me share this URL as well if you want to, and I can keep it this side over here. I can share this URL afterwards. So this is the pricing calculator, which you can check the price, okay, and choose your options accordingly. Just remember, these different pricing options are just like a loyalty card, okay, and there over there also you got different variants, okay. So these are just those variants only. EMA we have already talked about. Now elastic block storage. Now this is used for adding additional volume to your instances. As of now, if you see, I do have volume, the root volume, and the size is like 8 GB. Okay. Now if I want to add additional volume, I can do that using this EBS. Now the thing is like over here, the whatever volume is attached, this is a root volume. So as soon as I will going to delete my EC2 instances, this will going to be get deleted. Okay, so in order to make the persistent data, so what we do, we can create additional block storage, attach that block storage to your EC2 instances, and then uh, do everything on top of it. Okay, and if this EC2 instances gets deleted by mistakenly, still you have the data, it's not lost. That's why it is always advised to create one. Okay, and it's super easy. Like you can go over here, volume, with the volume, and then simply attach it. Super easy, it's not that much difficult. Okay, and also you can have a snapshot, the backup of the volumes as well. Okay, not only the backup, it also helps you to transfer your volume from one region to another region. Okay, so snapshot RPG, something which we use to transfer the volume from one region to another region. Okay, and then create the volume out of it and then attach with other EC2 instances. And then you got the lifecycle manager. If you're taking the backup every day, so there should be some retention policies like when to delete. Okay, so this is how you can select. Okay, then this is for networking security. The security group we have already talked about. Key pair we have already talked about. Network interface adds you gives you additional benefit, like you can have secondary IP address as well. If one primary IP address got busy and got some problem with that, you can have additional secondary IP address with the help of network interface. Okay, placement groups helps you to where you can run your instances. Okay, this is a complete topic. And you can just go over here and look into where I think I have added that thing. Yeah, placement groups. So you can see there will be some definition I have put down over there, but I thought there will be some images. Oh no, images are not there. But you can search online. Okay, it's not pretty difficult. Just go over here and just write AWS EC2 placement groups, and you're going to see that how they group. Okay, so you can just go over here and look into the placement strategies with the diagrams over here. I could not open the images of other users, other websites due to copyright thing, but you can also check it out. Like in a cluster, what happens? Every instances is run inside one availability zone. Okay, and in the partition it will going to be run in different other ability zones. So this is what it places. Okay, like you got a reason, and inside a reason you got multiple ability zones if you're running fleets of EC2 instances. So how it will gonna place it? Okay, so this is where the strategies are applied. Okay, now, other than that, you got Elastic IP. Now, Elastic IP is very much interesting. I've already created one Elastic IP, this one. Now, I can show you. Let me just delete this one and show you how you can create one. It cannot be released with association IDs. Okay, okay, it is already associated. Let me reassociate. Once it reassociate, let me just release this IP address. Now, let me show you how you can allocate. You can just choose US East 1 and then allocate. And after creating this particular elastic IP address, what you can do, you can just go to your instance. Okay. Now over here, this is the instance which we are running, and it has some IP address which is 54 something. Okay. So let me just open new notepad. So it has some 54 IP address and URL, something like that. Now what happens if I go over here and stop the instance? You know what happens? Because everything in this particular URL set by DHCP, and every time you're going to reconnect with the network if you're going to assign a new IP address. So firstly, if you're going to get removed, and as soon as you're going to restart this instance, you're going to have a new IP address. So let me show you how this will going to look like. And let me also copy the elastic IP which we do have. Where it is? Here it is. Let me just copy this one as well. 54208. This is the elastic IP which we have copied. EIP. Okay. Now over here you can see that IP address has gone. And if I will go over here and start the instance, you're going to have another IP address over here. This is how DSCP works. Every time you connect your instance to a network, it will all going to give new IP address, okay, to your device. You can see this is new IP address you got. Previously it was there 54 dot something. Now you got something with 3 dot. Okay. Now in order to make your IP address as the static, we use elastic IP. So you can just go over here, elastic IP option, go over here, and then associate this elastic IP address with your instance which is running. So this is the instance which is running my EC2 instances. I will go over here and I will associate this one over there. And as soon as I do that, it will going to change the IP address. Previously, we were having something 3 dot something. Now it will going to be it will be changed with 50 to 54 dot something. This is the last IP one. Now, if I'm going to stop it or again run it, you will going to see there's this particular IP address is not getting removed. Okay, let me show you. Uh, you can see it's now stopping, and you can see this is not getting removed. This is how elastic IP works. Okay, it provides you a static IP address for your EC2 instances. Then here comes the load balancer and auto scaling group. So for this, I'm going to show you the diagram how it's going to look like. So this is the auto scaling group. So as I said, the cloud computing provides you the benefit of auto scaling. Okay, so like if there's occasion on Diwali or Black Friday, where a lot of sales happen, and a lot of traffic will going to hit your application. So you have to manage such a big traffic. Okay, such a huge traffic, you have to handle it out. So in that case, what happened, like if you were previously running 3 to 4 EC2 instances or 10 EC2 instances for handling the traffic, the daily traffic, but now you want to scale because the traffic is coming high, so you have to scale to from 10 to 100, or even more. Totally depends upon the traffic coming from. So in order to do this whole thing automatically, we use autoscaling. Okay, so autoscaling will going to scale up your application. Okay, there will be some maximum size, like after that it won't going to scale up, but you can set that number automatically. You got the dashboard to look after how your applications are performing under each EC2 instances. If there's a need to increase, you can even also increase. But overall, the thing is like autoscaling group helps to increase the number of EC2 instances, and as soon as the traffic goes down, it's just going to wait for multiple days, whatever it will be, and then it's going to scale down. Okay, so this is how it makes the cost effective solution. Okay, if the traffic is high, it's just going to adjust the number of instances automatically. If the traffic is coming low, or the daily traffic is going to go to that number. So this is how the auto scaling group works. Now if you have auto scaling group, you have to understand the load balancer as well. Okay, now over here, auto scaling group, we're going to increase the number of EC2 instances. Over here that it is showing one, two, three instances are showing. Okay, now if the last traffic comes in, there will be 4, 5, 6, 7 EC2 instances. In that case, what happens, like because your application is running inside these instances, okay, so the traffic should enter that particular instances. How this can be possible? This will be done by application load balancer. Okay, the elastic load balancer, where you got three types of load balancer, and among them, application load balancer is something. So the traffic enters through internet gateway, so that it can go through your VPC, and then through application load balancer, it's just going to distribute the traffic to whatever number of instances are running. Okay, so some traffic goes to this instance, some traffic goes to this instance, some traffic goes to this instance. This is how the application load balancer works. Okay, so we always use the combination of application load balancer with auto scaling group, because auto scaling group will going to increase the number of instances, and we have to make sure like the traffic goes to the newly created instances, and that can be done by application load balancer. Because if they are connected to each other, whatever number of instances you're going to create, it will going to be get registered inside the application load balancer. Okay, so if it is going to increase the number of instances, it's just going to get registered in application load balancer, and then traffic can successfully goes over there. So this is how the things work. The combination, we use the application load balancer with auto scaling group to handle any kind of traffic, whether high traffic or low traffic or whatever. Okay, so it's pretty important concept, and implementing them is not very much difficult. It's super easy to do so. So in this way, we have completed another services thing. Okay, about EC2. Okay, this is some other compute services which AWS offer: Lambda and ECS EKS, which are container based. So EC2, you got full control. Lambda, you don't need any server because it is serverless, and ECS are container based. Okay, and the scalability can be manual, can be auto. In Lambda, it is automatic. In ECS, also it is automatic. The use case is for general workload. This is for event driven, and this is for container based workload. So these are two other compute services which we use in general, but this is not topic for today. If you're interested, we can have one session on it, but yeah, that's the thing. So this is all about the EC2. Okay, this is all about EC2 which we have learned over here. Yeah, okay, let me just see the comments, so I can see the comments over here. So many comments comes in. 247 messages, oh my god, 109. Yeah, yes, you can get the PPT. I have shared you the URL before. Let me share it again over here. And you can have any doubt. If you want to, I can share my again LinkedIn profile if you want doubt. Oh, okay, okay. And let me see. Class will continue to 12. It will going to be continue till 11. By the way, it is 3 hour course. Okay, 3 hour session. So it will be like started at 8, and now 2 hours is already over. More than 2 hours basically, and it will gonna end around 11. Okay. It's very funny. Uh, in my case also, my brother came in and asked me like at what time, you know, we're going to stop the session and end the session basically so that they can start the dinner. It happens over here as well. So if you need any other, if you have any doubt, you can just let me know. You can just simply put it on the chat panel. I can repeat the concept if you have any in EC2 and in the IAM, whatever we have discussed so far. Okay, Burger Queen. Yeah, that's something which you uh, understand. Okay. I know there's a threshold to understand the things. I believe this time RCB will gonna win the IPL. I'm also RCB fan. Link is there in YouTube. If you want to again rewatch the something which you missed out, you can go over there and check over there. And after that, if you have still any doubt, you can just let me know anytime. So this is what we have learned so far. Okay, again we got 127 messages. Oh my god. Okay, so right here. Okay, sure, I can share those URLs which I've copied in the notepad. Although I will going to put it over in the README file of our GitHub repo. For attendance link, I did not receive any. I believe so. So I think we have to check with the GFG team regarding this. Thank you, Iman. Mm, okay, so that's the thing. Yeah, see DSA like over here. See, it's always a good if you have a knowledge of DSA in DevOps specifically, because over here in cloud also in DevOps also at the end you are going to deploy the application. If something went wrong, in that case, if you have the proficiency in DSA and the app development, it will gonna help you a lot. Okay, but over here the one thing for sure which you should be aware of if you want to start your career in cloud or DevOps, not high level DSA is required. You can start with. Okay, and one thing for sure which I will going to tell you, like you have to start from very somewhere. Okay, and cloud just have some basic application to test everything which clouds offers. Like if you want to test autoscaling group, the elastic load balancer, everything. Okay, having one basic application will going to help you to test everything. Okay, and if you have the crud based application, of course it will going to help you. DSA, like over there, specifically for DSA, over there, so many things comes inside, so many algorithms comes inside. So if you're want to, for resume, for portfolio basis or whatever, over there having such application with some, you know, good functionality with, good thing over there that DSC can be required. But if you're just doing for only cloud related thing, not that much DCS is required. Okay. PPT is there in that GitHub repo. You can get it from there. Over here, we can see Introduction to Cloud Computing and AWS PPT. From there, you can see them. Okay. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. The thing is, like, I got the time constraint, and that's why I try my best to cover in the way that is bite sized. I'm not went into too much detail. I just giving you overview. In reality, in EC2, there are so many other things to explore. But I will say, like, I'm just giving you a starting point. Okay, so you comfortable with all the option which you see in the console. Okay, so that once you have opened the EC2, you won't get overwhelmed. You know what exactly that service is all about. Then simply create one and that's it. Okay. um I don't have any first discomfort certifications and all. You can contact with GFG team. You have created one e-commerce web app for one of your client. It is pretty basic e-commerce website. Tracking is being handled by client only. So which one instance I should choose, or Lambda will be more appropriate? Can you give me more detail about Neeraj, or you can just give me more detail in LinkedIn, because over here, this is a big topic, okay, and I cannot explain you in lightning speed over this. So if you want to know about for this particular thing, I can help you over there much more detailed way. Uh, See, for masters, this is my opinion. This is my personal opinion. Don't You have to again evaluate it. But what I believe over here is like, once you got graduated with, no matter which college you belong to. See, from in my case, it can be a role of luck or whatever. In my case, it's like skills matters a lot, and the project which you have work on matters a lot, and the network. These three combination work very well in today's era. Okay, so if you build a good skill set, and also you have certification to prove their skill set, and also I would suggest if you have some projects. So what happens is like, I've also taken multiple interviews, and what we basically search look for, like how you will gonna do the troubleshoot. Okay, troubleshoot is a very key skill. Okay, so I will suggest you, like, before enrolling for master or any other thing, look after, like whatever skills you have set, look after the job accordingly. Okay, and create a profile accordingly to the whatever job description you're going for, and try. Okay, try for some time and see what is the result coming over here. The what is the outcome coming over here, and then you can choose accordingly. If it's just not giving a good outcome, then you can go for the masters and all. This is something which I understand. Okay. Skills, yes, thanks, Neeraj. Skills matters a lot. See, Kunta, over here, I would like to say uh, skills like, there's so many skills out there. Okay, there are hard skills are there, soft skills are there. Okay, so hard skill, of course, is very much important. Like the tools which you're gonna use in the organization, which you should be aware of. Like whatever tools they are looking for, if you have that proficiency, that's perfect. But other than that, like, they always look for like how you communicate, how you deal with the situation, like how you troubleshoot. Okay, troubleshoot comes like troubleshoot skill set comes with the practice. Okay, so don't get afraid like whenever you hit with some errors, with some fails messaging, a message comes over in the screen. So just be confident, look for the solution. These days we have AI, ChatGPT, and so many other AI tools to help you out. So I believe it is much easier to cope up the situation. So in that case, you can uh, troubleshoot very easily. So overall, the thing is like, there's a combination is there, the soft skill and the hard skills. Of course, hard skills matters a lot, but somehow having good soft skills can help you to get into the job. Okay. 122 message. Okay, I think it's coming from over here. There's no age limit, by the way. I have a student. I say student, he's older than me. Okay, he's in around 40s, I think so, and he transitioned his career. So there's no age limit is there. Okay, you can do the career transition whenever you want to. Thank you, Madiha. Okay, so the thing is like, whenever I work with some clients, and whenever they have a requirement like, hey, increase the process, increase the speed, like the delivery, because whatever they have the deadline, it always be very much strict deadlines. And sometimes like, you are not able to do complete the things within the deadline, so they can ask you like, hey, we can uh go for the hiring round and all. So you can, if you got the time, you can also take the interviews over there. So in that way, I've taken the interviews, and I've taken many. So if you want to help with the projects, so what kind of project you're interested in? Like if you're interested in cloud, then I have some projects already into my repository, into my GitHub repo. Okay, in my GitHub account, I can share you a bunch of URLs with there, cloud related one. So if you need the basic one, you can start with this one, the one which I have shown you throughout the session, which you can take it from here, AWS Flask one, which you can go over here. This is, if you're coming from the Python developer, then this might look much easier for you to understand. So this is something which you can do, or if you want, I can deploy this application in tomorrow session. Okay, we can do that. PPT I've already shared. Okay, so again I was going to share you. Thank you everybody who like it. Okay, so many comments. So it's better to look after the comments whenever it's the time. And believe me, as I mentioned previously, like I've taken the session previously and I think 230 students were there. This time it hit 366 and I love it very much. Prerequisites are, in cloud computing, like you should have basic knowledge of Linux because the core services comes with like EC2. So having knowledge of Linux will going to help you a lot. And other than is it the Linux, you should be have a basic understanding of networking, like what is subnet, what is CIDIR, and how the routers and switches work. You know, the basic knowledge, the private IP, public IP, dynamic IP, static IP, DSCP, DNS. There's so many things, but basic one. So foundational networking will going to help you a lot. So the very first thing is like Linux, then networking, then knowledge on Git will going to help you a lot, because in cloud computing also, if you're into DevOps over there, we we create the pipeline, the CI/CD pipelines over there. Git is very much used, and so having knowledge of Git is very much required. And Linux, and then at what I'd said, the networking, and then you should be have basic understanding, better understanding of how to write the JSON, YAML, all those stuff. Okay, the data serialization language. It's pretty important to know about. I have already shared the link, but if you want to, I can share. Is it necessary to learn Border 3? See, over here, this is a very good question. Like if you're coming from the Python background, I will say little bit knowledge of Border 3 will going to help you a lot. Now the thing is like, because we are living in the information age, and it's not like that we can remember each and everything. So what I do generally, let me show you the trick which I follow. I just go to the Boto 3 official website, and from there I can just simply copy and paste. Most of the time, I just do the copy and paste from the official website, whatever function I'm looking for. So over here, if you see, there's so many services will going to be there for quick start. If you go, just a second. Yeah, okay, they have changed a little bit the interface, because previously that thing comes over here where all the services will going to pop up. Uh, just a second, let me just go outside. This is for API reference. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So over here, like whatever services you're interested in, just go and search for it. For example, you're looking for S3. Okay, and as an S3 example, you can just go over here, and for example, you want to upload the file. This is a code, and you're going to see this thing into my code as well, like upload.py. I'm using, upload file, temporary file, bucket name, file name, all those blah 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 things are taken from there only. Okay, the idea, the client, put it through client, upload. Okay, except in my code I don't have exception handling thing, but it is very much important to have one. So this is how you can do the things very easily. And I'm saying, like, never hesitate to use AI if it's like, if it can, it's going to help you to increase your efficiency and productivity. Okay, because writing everything from scratch you already know about. Okay, and writing everything from scratch, better to take it from the documentation if it's required. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about the S3 which we have, the last service. Where it is over here. So we already covered the EC2 part. Now let's cover the S3 thing. So what is S3? S3 stands for simple storage service, and I believe like this is was the very first services which AWS created, I believe so. Either S3 or EC2, I think, like in the very top 10 services which AWS created previously, like at early stage, this will be one of them. So S3 provides you scalable, secure, and durable object storage. Now, here one term is used, object storage. Okay. Now, in storage also you got three different types of storage. One is object, one is block, and one is file. Okay. So you can treat object storage, like for Google Drive, for instance. Like in Google Drive, you can upload any kind of file. Okay. So, and the size can be any. there's a big number is there, I just forget the number. So it does, so you can upload any file and then you can access them whenever you want to. Okay, whereas in the case of the file storage over there, it's going to follow some hierarchical basis, okay, to access the files inside it. Like you got the file system over here, like in your computer also, you got the file system, different folders, different system, the hierarchies are there. So EFS also have the same thing, which you can understand. Okay, if you need the documentation on other services which I'm talking right now, you can go one more GitHub repo is there, like where I have taken the session on AWS Solution Architect. So if you're interested in Solution Architect, let me know, I can help you over there. Okay, I have to look after AWS SAA. Yeah, over here. So you can just go over here and you can find document in notes for different, services, and all different codes are presented over there. You can just go over there and explore this one out if you want to. Now over here, I believe that offer has been gone, like when you can have get the discount. Okay, like AWS offers associate challenge every year, so you can get 50% discount. So at that time you can go for it. Other than associate challenge, they also have there's some specialized certification challenge as well, which you can also go for it, where they don't give you 50% discount, but they give you free retake if you get failed. Okay, uh, I won't suggest you to go with the cloud practitioner. This is very basic one. I will suggest you can go with the associate solution architect one. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, not that much require. You can easily go and pass the solution architect associate exam. It's not that much difficult. But yeah, at least you have the experience working with AWS at least 1 year. Okay, so because it's mostly scenario based questions over there, you cannot be mug up the things. You have to have experience with different services so that whatever scenario comes in, you know how to deal with that. Okay, now let's back to the S3 thing because it's getting late a little bit. So over here, the S3. So this is the scalable, secure, and durable object storage service where you can store data as object in a bucket. It is ideal for taking the backup. It is good for big data. It is good for putting your website code and the app data. Yeah, you can use S3 as a GitHub repository as well. Like it also supports versioning, but the feature which GitHub provides, the Git provides the branching, it does not have that branching thing. So uh, which is strict. Okay, so it has some limitation, but still, if you want to put your code, you can also use S3 for doing so. But most of the time it is used for backup purpose, for keeping the app data, and for doing the big data analysis. Like all the data, the raw data will be there into S3, and from there we're taking those data and then processing the data further. So this is the feature which it applied. Like 11 nines are there for durability, unlimited storage, pay as you go, as you know. It supports versioning, lifecycle policies, and the replications. It can be easily integrated with services like Lambda, CloudFront, Athena, and so on. Okay, it's not any limitations are there. You can integrate S3 with so many other services. Now, what is object? Object is like file plus metadata. Metadata contains a lot of information, which I'm going to show you in some time. Then bucket is a place where you're going to keep your object. Okay, and bucket should be globally unique. Okay, the key is like unique identifier for the object within a bucket. I'm going to show each and everything, that the definition which you're seeing right now. The reason where your bucket and data reside is the reason. Okay, these are different storage class. Okay, we're going to come into this point. This is a use cases which I talked about previously. Okay, now let me show you the S3 thing. Over here, S3. So here two types of buckets are there. One is general purpose and other one is directory bucket. So directory buckets somehow depict the idea of EFS but not completely EFS. But if you want to have still folder like structure, the hierarchy thing, you can still use the EFS or you can use the directory bucket. But still the performance wise, I will say EFS is much better. This is a new idea which they are working on, the directory buckets. Okay, but the moreover, the most important thing for S3 is the general purpose buckets. So as I said, for creating the bucket, the name which you're gonna choose, it should be globally unique. Okay, so I can just give a name like AWS GFG session 26 my, something like that. Okay, so it says like this is unique, because I believe this name wouldn't be there. Okay. Now over here, if you want to copy any existing settings from existing bucket, you can do that, but it's optional. It's not important to do so. Now ownership is very much important. Now there are two ways where you can apply the permissions and all, with the help of ACLs and with the help of the bucket policies. Okay, so there are two ways for setting up the permission in the bucket. Okay, like who can access the object. Okay, it's pretty important. Now over here in Google Drive also, like whenever you upload the file and whenever you want to share the file, there's some options comes in, like uh like you generate the link, like whether they can view the content, whether they can edit the content, or whether they can just uh give some review, whatever. I think three categories are there. I just forget the third one. So viewer, editor, and then there is something third. So three categories are there, and you generate the link accordingly. So ACL, you know what it does? Like you got the folder, you got the bucket. Inside the bucket, you got multiple files, and you want to set some permission to a specific file. Then you can, use ACLs over there. Okay, for fine grained control. Now this is about the bucket policies. So by default, it is blocked. If you want to enable, you can do that. So right now, I'm just making it block. Bucket versioning is disabled, but if you want to make it enabled, you can do so. So if you're going to upload a file with the name index.html, your web file, and then you make some changes and again upload it, it's just going to keep the copy of both the files. This is what versioning is meant for. Versioning is a means of keeping multiple variants of an object in the same bucket. You can use versioning to preserve, retrieve, and restore every version of your every object. So this is the idea. I will going to show you that how this will gonna work. Right now it is disabled, but we're going to make it enabled whenever we want to. Now encryptions are there. If you want to go with the managed encryptions which S3 provides, then you can go with this option. If you want to go with this option, you have to choose the KMS keys for it. But right now I'm not doing so I will go with the default managed key which S3 offer. Okay, this one. Okay, and bucket key is enabled, so that's what. Now object lock is there, so it will going to help you to prevent the object from being deleted or overwritten. Okay, so this is what it is, the object lock. For object lock, you have to make sure you're using version bucket. So in order to use this service, you have to enable the versioning. Okay, if you go upside, you can see this option is disabled and enabled. Okay, the bucket versioning. So right now I will just go with the disabled one. I will see afterwards. Now let's create the bucket. So you see, creating bucket is not that much difficult. It's pretty easy. You can see we have created one bucket, and it is globally unique because we have added today's date over there. So it is pretty unique. Okay, AWS registration 2605. Wow, it makes sense. So over here, you can just upload any kind of file. Like you can just go over here and create index.html. Okay, and just you can just write whatever. Let me just write something interesting. Namaste world, not hello world all the time, or Namaste dunya, something interesting. Okay, so over here, uh, something which we give the alternative for hello world. Okay, so this is index.html, and over here, what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to upload it over there. So either you can drag and drop, or you can choose the file directly from there. So I can just simply drag and drop over here, and you can set the permission if you want to, like public access or whatever. So you can do that thing. Okay, and what kind of storage class you want to choose. Now this is pretty important. Okay, it decides the cost. Okay, it decides the cost, like whatever object you're going to upload, what kind of storage class you want to keep them. Okay, now from here we come back to our uh, ppt, where I have mentioned about the storage class. So there are multiple storage classes out there: the standard one, the intelligent tiering, the standard infrequent access, the glacier, and the deep archive glacier. Okay, so I remember one my old days. I have created you know a glacier service, and I have uploaded one of the object over there. And for doing so, you have to create some glacier keys and all for doing so. And I've uploaded the data. Now glacier is big enough, so over there what happens, like whatever data you put in, okay, it will be very much cheap, okay, compared to the other storage class. So it's just used for archival basis. But whenever you want to retrieve that piece of data which you have put down over there, it will going to take some time, sometimes in days, okay, and for it they will going to charge accordingly. So that's the thing, okay. You can see this is the pointers which are given, like which one is most expensive, and this is pretty cheaper, okay, and it takes some additional time to get the data, okay. So Glacier is pretty cheap, but it takes time to retrieve the data. And don't never forget the Glacier keys. If you forget the Glacier keys, you won't be able to access the data, okay, and they can charge you also. Now there's another story apart. Over here, let's focus on this S3 standard, which means frequent access. So let's understand with a one real world analogy for understanding the what kind of storage class you can choose. For example, I believe like that this kind of days never come in your life, but yes, let's take the example of hospital over here. Okay, hospital data records. So you went over there because due to some medical issue, you went over there, you got registered as a new patient, and you you got some doctor for dealing with those medical issues, okay, and then they recommended something, some medications to follow, whatever. So now what happens over here, because you are now new registered patient over there, so whatever uh, things doctor has been discussed, it should be mentioned, or they have some records of it, okay, like what medicines doctor suggested, or what was the scenario, like which kind of disease you were having, whatever. So they're just going to have a record, and doctor can say you like come after a week, okay, or come day after tomorrow, something like that. So you will be someone who is going to come again very frequently for some period of time, okay. So for example, like you have a problem with diabetes or whatever, and you start taking the medicines or whatever, you going to come and see the doctor for a couple of times in short range, okay. So if I like twice in a week or thrice in a week, something like that. So your data should be in st standard uh, class, because you're accessing that data frequently, okay. Now afterwards what happens is like now doctor is saying come once in a month or once in a quarter, something like that, just infrequent access, okay. So you go to the next class now, because if you're not accessing that data frequently, why you should pay more, okay, you should pay less for in that case. So you can go with the infrequent access, and over there they were going to charge you pretty low compared to the standard one. And once you got cured, whatever disease you were having or whatever problem, the medical issue we're having, now that data will going to be used for the archiver basis, okay. So that data will goes in archiver section. So it is much cheaper but difficult to retrieve back, that's why it's much cheaper, okay. And it's the lowest, the Glacier Deep Archive, okay. This is long-term archive, this is archival minutes to hour access, but this is the long-term archive which takes days to access the data. And this is the infrequent access, and this is for dynamic access pattern, like S3 intelligent trading can switch, like if data is being accessed frequently basis, if we're going to change to S3 standard, if it is not, then we're going to switch to the infrequent. So they're just going to adjust automatically. So over here when we were uploaded that particular object is asking for the storage class. Now over here I can choose different types of storage class over there. Now you are thinking like here some more data class has been discussed. Yes, it is discussed, but they are somehow easy to understand, like one zone infrequent access, okay. One is uh, infrequent access, one is one zone infrequent access, like only one zone will going to have that data, okay. Then Glacier instant retrieval, Glacier flexible retrieval, Glacier deep archive, all those things are coming over here, and they're going to charge you accordingly. And you can see the pricing over there, there's pretty discount you're going to see over there. Like you can just go over here, you can see like this is for 50 TB, which is $0.023 per GB. And over here you can see this is for archive 0. I think 3 zeros and then 99, okay. Pretty big discount, okay. So this is how the things will gonna look like, okay. So I will go with the standard one, okay. And because I know I will gonna delete after some time, if you want to add some encryption, you can do that, but I'm not doing it as of now. Okay, and then upload. So I uploaded an index.html file over there. Okay, you can see this is our index.html file. Now you can uh, go inside this particular object to know about different things. So this is the owner name, this is a region, this is the last modifier, the size, the type, and the URL access. Okay, so this is something which you can access from. This is object URL. Okay, and you can explore other properties over here. Right now bucket versioning enabled over here, because although we had disabled the object log, but we have not seen that setting of versioning, so it's got enabled. Okay, so if you go over here and make some changes, like you go over here and make some changes over here, um like now over here I just write something like this, Rangel, something like this, and upload it again, you will going to see the version. Okay, let me show you. Right now only one version is there, but as soon as I'm going to upload it again, you're going to see another version. Let me just do it again. Upload it, upload it, and you're going to see another version over there. Now this is very much important for restoring purpose. Like if you want to restore to the previous version, you can do it very easily. You can just go to the index.html, then go to the versions, and you can see two versions are there. This is the old version, this is the latest version. Okay, so this is how you can check the versions. And permissions, I'm going to talk about permissions sometime. The properties, so bucket versioning enabled, I have shown you that how it's going to work. Like now here comes the replication. Now if you want to replicate your object to multiple locations, multiple region, you can do with that. Okay, sorry, yeah. So over here what happens, like you can create another s3 bucket in another region, and then you can replicate that you know object over there. So this is how we can do the things. You can also set the expiry rule, like if you want to remove this particular object after some time. Okay, this is the storage class which has been chosen right now, the standard. If you want to change, you can change it from here. Server side is chosen to the s3 management, that's why I've not selected any other explicitly. Okay, you can also add the tag if you want to. The object lock is disabled, but if you want to enable, you can do though. And if we're going to protect the object from being deleted or overwritten. Okay, that's something which you can understand by yourself. Permissions, let's talk about permissions. Okay, let's talk about permission. Before understanding permissions, let me show you some other informations as well. The metadata, this metadata gives you all the information about the object whatever you upload over here, and then you can uh, see them in a very beautiful way in some tabular format. Okay, and this is something which got added in recent time, previously it was not there. The properties, now from here you can change the property if you want to. Like if you want to suspend bucket versioning, you can do that, and whatever files were there will going to be get deleted. Okay, if you want to add mfas for deleting purpose, you can also do that. Now mfas are not there, I can delete very easily, and other users who have access to this bucket can also delete very easily. But if you're going to set the mfas, it will going to ask you for the tokens before going for the deletion. Okay, so this is over here, intelligent tiering archive configuration, how you can set one. So over here you can see some basic additional settings coming over here. Time is also going, but tomorrow we're going to discuss about static website hosting and other stuff. So if any topics got left, we're going to see that thing. The permissions. Okay, let's talk about permission a little bit. So over here I have given one bucket policies which you can consider. Now over here this bucket policy allow to access your content. Okay, for example over here the object which I do have right now, this one, if I go over here and I can see I'm unable to access it. Okay, but what I can do, I can set the bucket policies, and with the help of that bucket policy I can access them. So you can uh, go over here and make those changes. Okay, so you can just go over here, permissions, and then bucket policies. You can just go over here and put the content over here. This is the bucket policies. If you want to go with the visual way, you can also do that, but I'm doing directly over here. And this is the one which we have to keep over here. Okay, now now save the changes. Oh, anything happened wrong. Okay, Okay, I forget to. Sorry, I forget to do one thing. Permissions, edit, save changes, confirm, confirm. Oh, so I have saved those changes. Now I can go over here and open the duplicate. Oh, yeah, you can see MS Dunia Pranjal thing is coming up over here. It says Hindi and English. A bit confused. Oh, only this one thing is getting changed. Okay. So this is how the things get changed with the help of bucket policies. Bucket policy, what it did, it gave that permission to access the objects stored inside the bucket. Okay. So here what I did, you can just see the object, but you cannot update them. Okay. So this is just exact same kind of policy which I have shown you earlier. Okay. If you don't want to write this whole thing, you can just go edit over here and click on policy generator, and then you can choose the principal, the service, or whatever. Just going to generate one, and then you can just do the copy and paste. So for everything you have one thing. Okay, like visual editor for IAM policies, policy generator for S3. You don't have to write anything. Okay, but if you know how to write it, it's very good. Like sometimes, you just want to have minute changes, so you don't have to look into the editor part. You can just do it very quickly. Okay, so knowing the JSON YAML makes sense. I hope so. You understand, you got the point. So this is how we updated the bucket policies, and after doing so, we are able to access this particular index.html. Okay, but as of now, this is a URL which we got. But what we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to create the static website hosting. Okay, and we're also going to see the access management as well, like what we say, access point. Okay, so different things we're going to discuss tomorrow if we got the time. There's so many things out there, and this whole session is all about introduction to cloud computing and AWS with some services like EC2, S3, and IAM. But I thought I try my best to cover the things which you should be aware of. Recordings are available. Okay, recordings are available which you can see through YouTube. Okay, and I think somebody had already shared that URL before. You can just check it from there. Okay, I have to look after that you are opening my. This is the URL, I believe so. From where you something I was getting it over here, so you can just get the URL over here. Okay. Now, other than that, what else I can do is, if you have any other doubts, you can just let me know. Yes, in S3 there's one option which is there. If you have heavy size file, you can use multi-part. Okay, there's one feature which is used for performance basis. I think I put that point somewhere in my PPT. Yeah, multi-part. So if you have multiple large size files and GBs, it's just going to split into small files, and then it can upload easily. Okay, and then there's an option for uh, sometimes I forget the name, global accelerator, which through which you can access the thing very easily with the help of edge locations in nearby location. So that's the stuff which you can do. Yeah, thank you, Neeraj. Does have any helpful for this management? Backend knowledge. See, as I said, any additional knowledge will always helpful. No knowledge gets wasted. Okay, so if you have additional knowledge, always it will gonna help you a lot. And specifically, if you're looking for DevOps, of course, it can a very helpful thing. Okay, and basically in cloud computing, it really depends upon like what kind of job role you will going for. Like, you're going for solution architect, you're going for cloud developer, you're going for cloud sysadmin. Totally depends what kind of job role you're going to have it. And the professional, like where the senior based roles, of course, if you have additional knowledge, will always going to help you a lot. Okay. You got an okay. Okay, so any other doubts if you have, you can just let me know. I will be happy to help you out. And this is the end of the session. And if you want, I can see I will going to accept today. And one thing for sure, if you want to do it, I will be happy. Like if you can, make some post on LinkedIn about this session, I will be happy. Okay, and if you want to write something about if you like it, again I will be happy and I will appreciate it. So if you got the time, and you can also post it on the LinkedIn about today's session if you are. And thank you so much, everybody. And as I said, if you have any doubt related to the interview related or the project based one, you need any assistant, I will be happy to help you out. Sometimes they will get some delay on your message because other sessions student also send messages a lot, so it takes some time to read all the messages and give the reply accordingly. So uh, you can just send me the message, and yes, you can expect for the reply within 1 or 2 days. Okay, thank you, everybody. And I see somebody from Vietnam. I have gone to Vietnam and I've seen this name before, something. So, Ni hao in that case. Okay. Yeah, that's all today. And see you soon. Okay. Take care. Keep learning, keep exploring, stay motivated. And let me share my GitHub URL once again if you need one. And I think this is let me just upload that notebook URL once again. That's this one. No worries, I'm just going to upload it on GitHub, so there will be no worries. And if you want this one, you can connect me over there. Bye, take care, everybody. See you tomorrow. Thank you.